You are now tuned in to the #1 nursing podcast in the world, the Scrub Me In Podcast by Nurse Junior and Anthony.
You are now tuned in to the #1 nursing podcast in the world, the Scrub Me In Podcast by Nurse Junior
and Nurse Anthony.
Episode 18. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the more y'all subscribe and that follower, number increases, we can bring out a season 3.
Okay.
And season 3 will be better than season 2.
Okay.
Yeah. But today we have a very, very special guest. We're gonna have him introduce himself.
Hi. Hello. My name is Rondell.
Okay.
Right now, I can say I'm a nurse, but also right now I am doing a retraining.
I see.
To get my license back here in Canada.
So let's start off by telling the scrubbers on your camera why you went into nursing, how long you've been a nurse for, and then we'll kind of dig deep into your story.
All right.
You might want to bring that a little closer.
Yeah, to bring the mic closer.
So if you want the truth is, and this is where the story gets a little funny, is that nursing was second to what I was going to do. To be honest, I flunked out of med school.
Oh,
That's
yeah?
the only reason why
Damn.
I went into nursing is because I suffered, that them stories where they tell you that medical school can be very taxing on the body in terms of all the studying and everything you have to do.
Yeah.
I was taking a course for pre-med, and that course kind of mentally broke me out.
Yeah.
Because I had classes from 8 in the morning till 10 at night every single day. On top of that, I had to study and test every day that I would. So it kind of...
Where were you in school?
University of Windsor.
Damn.
Get the hell out of here.
Yes.
What?
And after the first year, I didn't do so well. So they gave me they put me on probation, academic probation, to reevaluate what I wanted to do. And I just basically said, I'll figure something out. So then I just took a break for a year. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to school, but I'll try a different approach to school.
How long ago was that? Sorry to cut you off.
That was about, let's say about 14 plus years now.
2010-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
around there,
shortly before I was in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spend a lot of days at 29 and Park. That's the problem.
Yeah?
Was it open back then?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or boom boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
He knows about
I don't even think I hit up that part, but yeah. But I went and I said, okay, you know what? I took a year to try and gauge where I was, and when I went back to Toronto, I went to school, Humber College.
Okay.
And I took a program that they offer there that helps you manage your time, how to study. That was the problem I had, was how to study effectively for tests and assignments and stuff like that. That was the problem I had, because there was so much assignment, so much test to do, that I couldn't focus my attention the right way.
Right.
So I took this course, General Arts and Science.
Okay.
And I basically, what it does is it helps you study better, write better, and basically think better when you're doing stuff. So I took that program, and then when I finished it, I said, okay, I'm not going to go back to the path of medical school again, because that did me in. I mean, I can imagine. No sleep.
Yeah.
Threw off my sleeping cycle, then threw off my eating habits.
For sure.
So then I ended up having to take, I had to take medication to improve my eating habits and to give me sleep. And then the medication made me sleep too long because...
And you couldn't study enough?
Because the doctor told me I had to take it by 8, but I'm in class until 10.
Oh,
so when I take the medication, when I come back, I would sleep past and I would miss one of the classes because I would be out completely. I wouldn't hear alarms, nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
So then it kind of threw off. So I think I was better off suffering the other way than the other.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then, I decided, okay, I'm not going to try medical school.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and let's see how I do in nursing.
Right.
So that I went that path
right.
at that time. That's how I ended up in there.
Wow. At University of Windsor as well? Or you stayed in Toronto?
I stayed in Toronto, and I went to York University. They had a collaborative degree with Seneca College.
Right, yeah, we have that as well.
Yeah, first 2 years I spent at Seneca College, and then the last 2 years I did at York.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we have.
It's funny because some of those issues that you're experiencing, you can experience that in nursing school too. Absolutely. I know I was experiencing some of that as well too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, obviously, I didn't take a class I found that with me, I had the same issues. I couldn't study well. My time management was horrible. But I quickly learned that if I hung out with the pretty girls in my program and studied with them, I'd be focused.
Yeah,
anything they say, I'm listening.
That gives you a whole set of other issues.
No.
I got the formula. Yeah. I thought I had the formula too.
That caused problems for me. I'm not gonna lie. I went similar route, but that caused problems for me. So I ain't gonna.
I made sure to stay strong. So I made sure. It was just the books for me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But you said you went to York University. How was the your time spent there?
Hectic. Because the first 2 years, now mind you, I don't even know why they did this, but the only place that they taught the first 2 years of nursing school was Seneca College campus in King City.
Ooh.
Yeah, you see, you already said ooh, because you already know the distance it takes to travel, and I'm living in Brampton at this time. And I got to take the bus from Brampton, and I have to go through the city of Vaughan.
Yeah.
Go up here, then go through, take the bus, and then go all the way, literally in the middle of nowhere.
So hold on, how long was that commute?
On a good day,
an hour,
2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because
back then, King City wasn't what it is now.
No.
Not that it's this amazing thing now. Shout out to my King City folk. But it's still out of the way now.
It's still out of the way now.
So back in 2011, 2012, whatever time this is now, there's nothing there.
Yeah, no, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. And the problem being is that the transit system, they didn't anticipate for the influx. Because at that time I was going there was an influx of students because they were teaching 2 programs at their campus, police foundations and nursing. Right. It's the only 2 courses they ever taught up there. But nobody was anticipating the amount of students that would be going for both programs up there.
Right.
So, you get up in the morning, you go in, and there's where the logistics happen is that you get there, you're on time, but the bus shows up, it's full. You can't hold anybody anymore. So you have to wait for the next one, and the next one comes 10, 15 minutes later. And when that one shows up, it's also full.
Oh my God.
You have to change your timing to show up even earlier in hopes that you can squeeze in on the bus in time to get to the school. They fixed it year 2 around. They fixed it and they added, it was an express bus.
Okay.
And that bus literally said it only stops at every major intersection. So the other passengers who were not going to the school couldn't get on the bus because they didn't want to get there because then they would have to, every major intersection was probably about 12 kilometers apart. So you didn't want to get on the bus and have to walk 10 back just to make it. But that helped out for the students who were going there because it got you there, faster because there was less stops in between. And because it came in between the regular buses, it made everything better, so you don't have to wait 15, 20 minutes for the next bus to show up. There's one showing up in 6 minutes, and then there's another one. So they increase the timing for that because they didn't realize the problem until year 2, how bad it was.
Okay.
Because they usually, how they usually show up at they'll send people out in this transit, what do you call it, cops or transit
authority or whatever.
Transit authority that will stop at certain bus routes to see how the frequency is going to whether or not they should increase or decrease. Right. They were there all the time, and they realized there was a lot of people. So they had to make that change. Wow. That's how they fixed that.
Holy crap, man.
So 2 years you were going to the King City site, campus, and then after campus, and then after the 2 years you transitioned back over to York?
Yes. Which was the shorter. By then the transit system had already improved by a lot.
Going to York.
Yeah. When I'm going to York now, Brampton upped their transit game. So now, they had a bus that basically they created a new line called Zoom at the time.
Yes.
And they had this one bus that literally, it takes you, it doesn't go the regular route, it goes straight onto the highway, and it exits off the highway and straight to the campus.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was it. It was the last stop when I got on, it was 3 stops, because he would stop only at, again, major intersections for that one.
Right.
And then when he got to the last stop, he'll go straight to the highway, straight there, 10-minute.
Oh, that's
You're on
amazing.
campus, so that cut down on the transit by a lot, made it a little bit better. But again,
So how was it? How was your experience there at York in terms of
different.
Positively or negatively?
Both
Yeah.
different in the sense that coming from King City, it's small,
Yeah. Very
right? And then you go to York University, and it's like,
huge.
what happened here?
Yeah.
I'm used to being in a classroom, probably about 30 to 40 people. I walk into now, I'm in a lecture hall of upwards of 100 plus people. Wow. And it makes a big difference now because it's like, it's not the same as, it was. You get used to that close-knit environment where you can actually interact and the teacher is there after class and talk. Now with the bigger scope, you got to set appointments to meet with a teacher.
That's right.
So then everything changed at that point. The good side about it is that more resources. They had a lot more resources at York University than they did when I was at King City.
Right.
So it helped in terms of you're doing the research papers and you're doing the assignments it made a big difference. But in terms of talk about the shock of coming from small to,
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a big
I can
a big
imagine.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward, you're done at York. Where's your first couple jobs and all these things?
So while I was doing the nursing degree, I decided that, someone told me that I could have worked as an aide in the meantime.
Right.
And they would accept the fact that you're still in nursing school to be, as an aide. So I started working there as an aide. And when I finished school, I started studying for the exam, didn't pass the first time. Missed it by a few points. The first time I did, I missed it by 20 points.
Okay.
Second time I did the exam, missed it by 2.
Oh, no.
Oh, that day just rubbed me the wrong way.
Are we talking about the NCLEX or
No? Back then they had it was
CRNE.
CRNE.
Okay, yes.
on
yes,
paper.
yes.
And then that one way you had to sit there for hours and hours and hours to write that.
Okay, so for people that don't know, with the CRNE, you got to go to a testing center, sit at a desk, and it's essentially, like you mentioned, paper.
Yep.
And you're probably writing the answers on a Scantron. Is it multiple choice?
Multiple choice on Scantron.
How many? Do you remember how many questions was?
When I did it, it was upwards of, in all honesty, I think I want about 600 questions.
God!
Give or take 400 to 600 questions.
Damn.
It was a lot of questions.
Because the NCLEX is max 275, and then the computer shuts. I mean, it could shut off at any point.
After 75.
Right,
questions.
after 75. But you're saying 600.
Yeah. The exam was that because it was so long that you had intermissions in between. So basically, they will get to a point where you had to, they would say after like 4 hours of writing, they say, okay, take a break. Come back in about 20 minutes.
Get some water,
or
go
so.
to the bathroom.
And it's a mandatory break.
Yes. It's a mandatory break. Unless you want to go to the bathroom in between, you can do that. But the timing doesn't stop for you. And then you come back, you go over and you finish the rest of it. So it was like an all-day, it was pretty much an all-day thing. You would go in from probably about 8 in the morning and you wouldn't be out until probably about 3, maybe 2, 3 in the afternoon. Yeah. It was an all-day thing. You think about it as now it's not that bad, but back then it was a heavy thing. And he was like, I think the problem back then was, in my opinion, because I did the NCLEX.
You did do the NCLEX as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I did for my LPN, finished my LPN program, I found it to be a lot better doing it on the computer than doing it on that because the thing with reading the question and bubbling is it takes time. Yeah. Between reading, selecting, and scan and selecting your answer, it takes time. With all that time, you get to a point when you read, go. Your mind is already exhausted from all that moving back and forth.
And on top of that, with the computer, you can't go back to look at a question prior to change an answer.
Yes.
You may get to a future question and be like, wait a second. Yeah. I need to go back to question 101 because this question just made me realize that I might have answered that one wrong.
Yeah. Right. And that would add to the anguish because, you have so much questions. You're looking at the stack of papers and you're thinking, God, will I ever get through that stuff? And then you remember, you're going through hour 1, and you're just you're looking at it like, oh my God, I'm only on question 5. Man, I gotta pick up the pace. Yeah. And then you get into the point where you're thinking, I gotta finish this exam because I have to get most of these questions out the way. Because if I don't, I could fail. It messes with your head to the point is that you start rushing through things and easy mistakes, you could end up making them because you're not realizing.
And you wrote the CPRNE 3 times.
Yes.
And typically with the CRNE, I think, or the CRNE, 3 times and it's done.
3 times and it's done.
So at this point, when you got to the 3rd try and you weren't successful, what was the time frame from that point to when they brought out the NCLEX?
That would have been.
So you passed the 3rd time?
No, did not.
Oh, you did not?
Didn't even come close to the 3rd time.
No?
So you remember when the NCLEX came out, it gave people that were in that, I guess that realm of the CRNE bubble, an extra life.
Oh,
yeah,
did it?
like
Okay,
a
I didn't know that. I didn't know
like,
that.
yeah. No, this when the NCLEX, because at the time when I was doing the CRNE, they were doing the NCLEX in the States.
Yes.
Right, and then they were talking about adding that to a part of making it sort of like a universal test, so that way you can go through that rather than having to. We have our different test here, and we have our different test here.
Yes.
Let's just do one test, and then we'll just basically it'll make life easier for everybody.
Right. Exactly.
And that actually rebreathed into people who were
reinvigorated
a lot of people, and the people who didn't pass the CRNE did better on the NCLEX doing the NCLEX than they did on CRNE because, like I said, it's like a mentally taxing exam.
Yeah.
Right. Difference being is that when you're doing the NCLEX, you're in your little own area.
Right.
The testing site is very small.
Yeah.
There's not like all these people around you, like hundreds of people from all different schools and all different stuff.
Right.
It can get kind of, anguished at that point. And then with the going back and forth. Oh, did I get that question right? You're making the NCLEX kind of got rid of that. Well, I don't think I got that question right, so it is what it is. I can't go back at this point. Yeah, that's right. Might as well just put it out of sight and out of mind and just move on and just keep moving.
Pushing,
So hold on, I have a question. Okay, so you write the CRNE 3 times. You fail.
Yep.
Between what time do you write that 3rd time and the NCLEX came out for Canadians?
That would have been about 3 years or so later.
Okay. So what are you doing in that 3 years?
So in that 3 years, I'm working as an aide.
Okay.
In that time now, I have moved. Right now I moved to Gatineau at that point.
Okay.
And what I did was I found sort of like, like how you can't, after the CRNA part done, they'd be like, that's it, you're done.
Yeah.
I found the loophole.
Okay.
Let's hear this.
So the loophole I found was I remember there was this girl I went to school with. And what she did was she went in year 2 and she applied to write the, what we call it over here. We call it, is it LPN over here? I'm trying to remember. RPN over here.
Yeah.
She went to write the RPN exam. She passed the RPN exam, and while she was still completing the second year of the second leg of nursing school, she was working as an RPN, right? So while I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I'm done. It's over. And then I remember, wait. 2 years into the program, you should be qualified to write
the RPN program exam.
Yeah, because technically, if you were doing the RPN program, you would be at that year 2. And then I remembered, I was like, I got in. I didn't have to go to school to become an aide because year one I already got the experience to work as an aide. Right. So I already passed year 2. I already passed year 3. I already finished 4.
Yeah.
I already got the experience for the thing. So I called the CNO and I said, hey, can I write the RPN exam? And they said, yeah, you can.
That's a CPRNE.
They put me on the list to write it. And I was studying and getting ready, and then I shipped out and moved to the States.
And obviously you found it more easier because you passed it. But the issue that I'm finding in this story is the CNO, they don't advertise these things to the public.
They don't.
Absolutely not.
So you got to kind of do your research or just hear from the grapevine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to your friend that actually...
You know where I feel like I've heard a lot of, like most of these loopholes or things that the CNO doesn't necessarily advertise are like online forums.
Yes.
I'm finding everything on online forums. Just because like I'm trying to go to the States as well. And everything I'm finding is through online forums. Nobody actually has the information. And CNO certainly won't share that.
No. Yeah, and the people that actually go through these experiences is a small percentage.
Oh, tiny.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to vocalize or share the information with the whole world.
Oh,
but you're right. The forums do have the secret gems.
Yeah, man.
No,
okay, so you moved to the States. I'm intrigued now.
In between that, I got married.
Okay.
And I was living in Gatineau in Quebec, but I was working in Ottawa.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start studying for the thing because my wife, she's finished her nursing school and she's thinking of moving and coming over to Canada. So she registered with the CNO.
Wait, where was she at this point?
She was in Florida at the point.
Okay.
How did
you guys meet? Sorry, this is off topic.
We met online on a dating site.
Damn, Grindr. I'm playing.
No. Grindr didn't exist then, man. Okay. That was over
funny.
12. That was almost 15 years ago.
That's
Grindr
funny.
didn't exist then. The only site that was in existence at that point was like we met on Christian Mingle.
Shout out Christian Mingle.
Because they were like advertising rampantly at that point. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I remember.
I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I've been out of for 5
So
years.
she was in the States and you were in Canada.
Yes.
And you go, oh wow.
Okay, this is interesting.
Her story is also interesting. Like she used to live in Canada.
Okay.
So she was born in the United States, in Miami. She went to school in Haiti because I don't know if you understand the thing about school in the United States is that from kindergarten all the way up to high school, I'm sorry to all the thing, it's complete garbage.
Absolutely, unless you're in the private system.
Unless you're in the private system, the education system is complete garbage.
Absolutely.
And I'm like right now I'm experiencing that firsthand. Even in the private system, I consider it to be complete garbage too.
Yo, really?
Yeah, because I'm coming from Grenada.
Yeah.
And the thing with Grenada is that the things that when I came to Canada, the things that they were teaching me. So when I left Grenada, I was entering high school.
Okay.
I was 11 years old.
Okay.
I was about to enter high school. I came to Canada and they put me in grade 6.
Yeah.
What?
So I basically went back 3 years from where I was
you
supposed
were
to
like,
be.
this is easy.
So I basically coasted through those 3 years because when I got there, they were teaching me stuff I learned 2 years prior, then year prior.
Yeah.
Then I already learned this.
Yeah.
I'm already supposed to be in high school. And I'm coming here and I'm basically being dropped back to the point. So then I basically got through that with no problem. I got to high school and I'm thinking, this is nothing either because, the schooling in where I'm coming from is a lot harder.
Right.
Right. And the fact that as a teachers, they push you a lot over there. They don't slack off on something. And back then they used to whoop you.
Whoop your ass.
They used to
Same
whoop
thing in
your
South
ass
Africa.
if you didn't get the question right.
That's right.
And the teacher would put you up on blast on the front and says, hey, go on the board and answer these 10 questions.
Yeah.
And you go on the board and you get more than half of those wrong. Yeah. Right in front of the class, you get disciplined right then and there.
Absolutely.
You will never make that mistake again.
Of course. You know what? Even my siblings went to boarding school in South Africa.
Yeah.
So on top of everything you're saying, they had to be very well kept. So their hair always cut.
Yep.
Fingernails always short.
Yep.
And then one time my brother told me he didn't cut his nails for like a week. And I guess when you go to school, you put your fingers like on the desk to show the teacher at the beginning of the class. And obviously she looks at his nails, they're not done. She takes a ruler and hits you in your knuckles with it. I was like, God damn.
I bet he keeps his
his nails are always cut.
Yeah.
His nails are always
No,
cut.
they had the same thing with the uniform policy too.
Yes, correct.
Your shirt had to be tucked in. It had to be ironed.
Yeah.
You cannot look like you just basically rolling around. So you had to be clean. You showed up to school
Absolutely.
and your clothes was dirty. You look like you were disheveled, and that would not be a good day for you to start.
Absolutely.
Because they would call you out every morning. They have an assembly. And if something did not go right on that previous day, they will call you out in front of the entire assembly and discipline you. Now, mind you, you're getting disciplined and over 100 kids are looking at you while you're getting disciplined. That is embarrassment on top of embarrassment.
100%. And you know what? I feel like, though, my personal opinion, I feel like being in North America, the way schools outside of North America are advertised are lesser than it makes it seem. But the standards at these schools are like up here.
Yeah.
Like, so I know we're talking about like physical appearance and all these other things, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. No. Everything, their standard had to be up here. It's crazy. Even when my dad talks about, because he went to med school in Congo, when people hear that he was educated in Congo, they look at him a certain way. But then they start to hear him talk and he starts to teach and all these things. And the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that he has far and is away above everybody else. It's crazy.
No, because in Grenada, they believe that if you are disciplined in the right way, then everything else will fall into place. So if you're dressed appropriately,
right,
you'll be focused more, right? The uniform was meant to just keep you focused.
Right.
You're not going to be looking around and saying, hey, what is that person wearing today?
Absolutely.
Look at those shoes. No, because everybody's wearing the exact same
Absolutely.
thing. Right?
Absolutely.
They had the same shirt, the same pants, the same type shoes, the same color socks. So ain't nobody looking around and be like, hey, I wonder where he got those shoes from.
Yeah.
When they got that shirt. No, it doesn't happen like that because they have eliminated that and put you into, you come to school, this is your mind focus. There's nothing else that you need to worry about around you.
Absolutely.
Everything else is secondary. Let's get with that.
So you can't even roast somebody else. You can't even roast
No,
somebody's
you're roasting
shoes.
yourself.
You're roasting yourself at that point.
Yeah,
But you also have to think, even when you go home, like you think about it now, you get your clothes ready for the next day, all these things. When you have a uniform, you know what you're getting ready.
Exactly.
You know what you need to do. You don't have to think about what am I going to wear tomorrow or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No, you never have to worry about that kind of stuff. And it's
Absolutely.
like, it was a big difference from that because I'm coming from uniform to non-uniform.
Right.
And then I picked a school at random. It was just at random.
Yeah.
Turned out it was one of the worst schools at the time.
Because you were in the GTA?
Yeah, George Harvey was one of the worst schools at the time. Man, teachers, the last report I ever got before I started going there was one of the teachers got stabbed by a student because he said something to a student didn't like it, so the student got up and stabbed him with a knife. And I went to, the school I was going to was supposed to be one of the lowest thought of schools ever.
Oh, my God.
And then they hired a new principal, and he says, you know what would fix all of this? Uniforms. So he brought in a uniform policy.
Yeah.
Everybody had to wear a uniform. Same structure that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Shirt tucked in, pants, everything has to be appropriate. You don't necessarily looking like you just walked out of nowhere. Yeah. Hair has to be done properly. You're not supposed to be looking like you're a gang member or stuff like that. They eliminated all of that. And that fixed the problem with that school. And they went from being the lowest of the lows in the school, in the GTA, to one of the top schools in the GTA overnight because they changed the one thing that caused distraction was to take away that everybody's dressed however they want, pants sagging down below, the pants sag days.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. No, you couldn't go. If you went to school at George Harvey with your pants sagging, there was a zero tolerance policy. That was an automatic suspension.
Damn.
It was you came in, they tell you, pull it up at the door.
Yeah.
The principals walking around all the time, they see you do it again. It's
wow.
Go home.
That's crazy because in my high school, we had a uniform policy as well too, and people were still sagging.
Yo, but you got to think about the era we came from, bro. This is like the quadruple XL era, bro. So it didn't even matter if you had uniforms.
You bought those pants that was way too big. You could fit like 3 people inside of there, and you buy those belts in them, and you tight, but it still just fell in your face.
That's very true.
Yeah. See, and it's crazy because I got like two extremes of it, right? So because I grew up in like the hood in Hamilton, but then when we left and then we moved to Windsor, now my dad's working as a physician. We're going to like a predominantly white, like
school,
white collar high school. Okay,
yeah.
So everybody here's got rich parents, and now you're seeing the extreme with fashion. Well, I had uniforms back then, and then now I'm in high school. I had uniforms as well, but you see the extremes in terms of the fit. Everybody's got like skinny jeans or like well-fitted pants.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was just crazy to see that difference.
Yeah.
It always made a difference to see like how everything went the other way. I mean,
Oh man.
So Christian Mingle.
Yeah.
Christian Mingle.
Yeah.
That get brought up a lot.
Yeah.
When everybody goes like, how do you two meet? I mean, you were like over there in the States and he's over here in Canada. And it's like, she used to, which is I think is the most funniest part of the story was she used to live in Quebec, in Montreal.
Okay.
And then she left to go to university in Florida at around the same time that I was at Seneca College.
Okay.
Now I had gotten out after I graduated, everything was kind of pitfall, got out of a relationship, decided I'm just going to take a 5-year hiatus.
Yeah.
I'm like, one day I'm like, all right, 5 years has been long enough. Let's see what's out there.
Yeah.
So then I went up and I started looking around, and I was sitting at home and I don't remember, I think I was watching something, and then I saw the advertisement for Christian Mingle Camp. I'm like, why not? Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen, right? I just basically find out what's out there and then pick and choose and then be over. So I got through, went on a few dates. And I'm like, my God, this is what they
girls in
have to
Canada
offer.
for the most part?
Yeah,
okay.
It was girls in Canada for the most part. And he was like, my God.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is what we got to pick from? I'm like, my God, this has been on my nerves. Because they were like, you would think that their mindset was to go somewhere, but their mindset was, I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah, right.
Forget it. I'm like, I can't deal with that.
Yeah, right.
Right. So then I started going. I started getting messages, but I started ignoring them. And I finally get a message. I'm like, one day let's just apply. So I started messaging back, and then I started having a conversation with my wife, and that's how we started talking and stuff like that. And she was also on Christian Mingle, and she was trying to see what's out there in her neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And she didn't like what was out there either.
Yeah.
Eventually, we started talking, and then we met up. A year or so later, she came to Toronto to meet me, and I'm like, okay. So I went and meet her, and then I took her, showed her around, introduced her to members of my church, all that stuff like that. And then everything started going okay from there. And then I met her family in Montreal, and then 5 years later, we got engaged and got married.
Yeah.
And then we decided, okay, let's move to a place.
Yeah. So hold on. So at this point, she moved to Toronto now?
No, at this point, like even while we were dating, she was still in the States.
Okay.
So she at the time she already finished nursing school.
Okay.
And she started working in Miami. And at the same time, she was thinking of going back to school to get her NP. So she was doing that around the same time as well too. So she was going through doing that, and then I was floating around trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
And then so we eventually, when we got married, we decided, okay, let's find a place close enough to family, but not close enough to family.
Yeah,
if you get what I'm trying
to,
trying to bridge that difference. And they said, okay, we searched everywhere, we looked, and Gatineau came up as the most affordable place to stay.
Okay.
Because it was cheaper to stay than any other place that we could think of, and 2, I can travel back and forth from Gatineau to Ottawa in about 20 minutes.
Right.
So that made life easier, because then I could work in the English side of Canada and still live where I am. And that's where I ended up going. And then I said, okay, you know what? While she was in the States working, I said, okay, let me see what I could do about this LPN stuff. And I started studying for it, and that's when the CNO gave me the approval for it. And at the same time, she was trying to come over here, so she applied to the CNO, and they wanted her to do sort of like similar to like what non-English speaker would do, like a TOEFL exam where you have to take time to test your knowledge and all that stuff like that. And he would have told her the time frame would be about 6 months.
Okay.
And she didn't like that level of time frame, because that would mean it was too long, and then you never know what would happen in between that time. So she went back, and she got a job in Connecticut. So she went to Connecticut to work for the time, and I was over here in Quebec for that stretch of time. And then, it was bad news after bad news about the CNO and the fighting. So, I said, okay, what do I got going on right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be easier for me to just move there than having to deal with all this headache with the CNO.
Yeah.
So we came to the agreement that, after a discussion, we're going to, it'd be better off. So I just packed up whatever. And at that point, she already had moved all her belongings to
Connecticut.
To Gatineau.
Oh, no.
So all her stuff was
at your spot.
Yeah, all our stuff were together in Gatineau, which means that now she moved all her stuff from Florida.
Yeah.
Right? To Gatineau. Only to be hit with that roadblock that was going to take too long.
6 months, yeah.
Right.
And then I said, you know what? I probably would be easier for me to get what I need in the United States than to think. So that was our understanding. Yeah, it'd probably be faster and quicker for me to go there, write the test, be licensed. We're good.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, you know what? Let's do that. So I packed up all the stuff, moved to Boston. At the time. So I moved to Boston. She was travel nursing in Boston at this time now, because she found a job in the south of Boston where she can work travel nursing. So she was there, and I came down. And then the truckload of goods followed shortly after, but it came down like 2 weeks after I got there.
Oh, my God.
It's all that upheaval of life moving around.
Course.
So I finally get there. Everything's going well. I said, okay, we settled in. Everything's going good. Let's hit up that nursing board of Massachusetts to get this ball on the roll, the ball rolling. Then I got hit with a slap in the face. Oh, yes. We accept you, but you're missing pediatrics. I'm like,
what?
Pediatrics rotation.
Yeah, but they also wanted a pediatrics class. Mind you, the time that I took the nursing program, pediatrics, labor and delivery, and newborn, all of that stuff was one class.
Okay.
They wanted a separate class of that.
you.
Plus, they wanted a clinical rotation.
Okay.
So they wanted to know why I didn't take it. So the school sent them a letter explaining why I didn't take it.
Yeah, it's all in one.
Right.
Right.
They didn't like that explanation, said it didn't make any sense, and that based on their thing, I don't have any experience in the field. Mind you, I have experience in that section.
Yeah.
It's just that they want it quantified by itself.
Right.
And I couldn't provide for that. So they said, nope. We can't allow you to do that.
Oh my
However,
God.
they said, however, and this is the part that upset me, because like the CNO may have its many faults, but at least the one thing I can say about the CNO is that they will provide you with a list of schools or whatever that would offer a program that you need
Right.
when you need it. They offered you nothing.
Nothing.
The board offered you nothing. All it basically says is that, well, you need to find a school.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And it wasn't the board telling me this. The board doesn't even do the work themselves. They hire a third-party company
Right.
that I pay to evaluate my education level. Now, mind you,
You're talking about CGFNS?
I don't remember which one it was at this time, because I
Okay.
used so many of them. Like last one I used was called World Education or something like that.
Okay.
The problem being is that, which I don't even understand to this point, if you, and the CNO did the same thing to my wife too, they outsourced that to a third party company.
Right.
If you are saying that, you're the board of nursing, why are you outsourcing my educational, to find out if my educational credential matched up to a non-healthcare source? You're not doing it yourself. You basically
No, that I do understand that part. In my opinion, that part is because the company that they outsource to covers everything. And now I understand it's frustrating for us that are in healthcare.
Yeah.
We want something that's directed specifically towards healthcare. And I mean, even when we moved to Canada, my pops went through the same issues, right?
Yep.
But I can understand why you outsource, because you have this one company that already does it all.
Right.
And then you hope that eventually they just need to have a better conversation about what their standards are.
Right.
And that company needs to meet that.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is.
The problem was because even when they gave me that reply, I went and I tried to get a hold of the board.
Yeah.
And they're telling me, well, if that's what they say, then we should go with it. I'm like, but that's not if what they say.
That's correct.
You are a board of nursing. You hired a company to measure my credentials to see if I qualify. This is the only thing that they say that they want in a specific, because they want it filled out in a specific area saying, I did 120 hours of this specific part.
Yeah.
You are the board. You should basically look at the report and said, okay, well, based on I gave you letters from the school. It's not like I came in empty-handed and didn't do it. The school gave you an explanation to the letter as to why this wasn't this couldn't be quantified the way you wanted at this time. And then you looked at that and said, no.
Yeah,
And then they turned around and said to me, not the board. This company turned around to me and say, well, what you need to do is go find a school and get those programs.
Yeah.
Now, at the point, I wasn't, I was like, not a big issue. It's not, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it was kind of suspicious to me that the fact of the matter is that all of a sudden you're pointing me to a school to get these programs when you could have basically said, hey, there must have been something else you could have offered at the time. So I went months looking for schools.
Oh, man.
Finally find a school. And they said, yes, we do teach these programs. We can offer it to you, but we will not.
What?
Yeah, straight up to my face. My wife is sitting right there. They tell me they will not give me these classes. So I'm saying, okay.
So you're saying here, I'm willing to pay for this course to take your course at your school just so I can get this. And they're just like, nah, we're not.
And then I'm waiting for the explanation. The explanation came. And here's what the woman said to me. And I'm going to give you word for word what she said. We can offer it to you. However, it's not in our financial interest to do so. So what would work best is if you took 2 years,
Of course.
and then get to the program at the last year, because word for word again, that way they can make money. This is what she said in the presence of my wife, said to me that they're not going to give me these courses because the course, each one of them would be about the equivalent $750 and about $1,000.
Right.
They're not going to make any money off of that because what's the benefit for them to be giving you that?
Right.
However, if they give you 2 years worth, it'd be like $37,000.
Of course.
So they'll make a lot of money off of it. Once she said that to my face, I just like, that has to be the
can't be real,
coldest.
bro.
Nah, I just got up and I was like, I was so mad.
For sure.
I got up and I just walked, like literally. I'm like, at
That
this
would
point, I
drive
said,
me
I'm
crazy.
done.
That would drive me crazy.
I'm
bro.
done. I just dropped the whole thing down. I said, forget it. So then I just bounced around looking for work everywhere else I can find it.
Yeah. That's crazy, bro. So hold on. So this time that this is happening, what year are we in now? Roughly.
That would have been 8 years ago at that point. So I'm
2016-ish?
2016. Yeah,
Yeah,
2016,
I guess at
2017.
that time, the processes, even though it seemed like they may have been in place, I feel like even now they're kind of like the processes still aren't where they should be.
They still aren't.
So I can only imagine in 2016. I feel like the pandemic really helped. Truthfully, a lot of these processes, because for people that wanted to go internationally, come to Canada, come to the U.S. So the reason I'm saying this is because Angel and I lived in Australia. We moved to Australia right before the pandemic.
Right.
So these issues actually arose for us. However, I noticed at the very beginning of the pandemic when the issues arose, I was like, we're sending everything in by mail. Like, we're not, CNO can't email their board or do something. Like, there's no process in place to make this take, let's say, even 3 business days. You want me to send a letter from Windsor, Ontario to Darwin, Australia. It's going to take two weeks just to get there.
Yes.
And then, so hold on. So I need to submit this. It's going to take 5 business days for them to do what they have to do. They're going to put it in a mail slot. It's going to take 2 weeks to get to their nursing board, and then they have to do their thing for 10 business days now. Bro, it's been a month to send one piece of paper?
It's crazy.
It's insane. So, I mean, this is 2020. We're going through this. And it literally got to a point where it took me so long to get my license that I somehow got on the phone with, like, the president of the CNO. And I was like, you don't find this crazy? Like, this isn't insane that this has taken, like, 8 months?
Yeah.
And now I'm finally talking to you, and even you're just like, I don't know what we can do for you. Like, let's figure this out.
Yep.
Not that I'm, like, changing life for the CNO, but I was just like, this is insane.
Yes.
Like, we are in 2020.
Yeah.
You got motherfuckers with batteries in their cars, but you can't send an email from this nursing board to that nursing board?
Yes.
Facts.
Like, I was like, this is insane.
And to that credit, it has been because in my amazement, when I was trying to get, I said, okay, you know what? I want to get my RN license back. I want to get, get that RN back in from what's the point of wasting the education?
Absolutely.
Like that.
For sure.
I called, and within 24 hours, got a message back. They told me step by step what to do. I went online. Bam, they said, okay, you just got to pay this amount of money. I'm like, okay. They said it will take, in their words, they said it can take upwards of 5 business days. 24 hours later,
boom,
done.
So what, you had your RN license?
No, they gave me the approval to write the NCLEX for the RN within 24 hours.
That's right. Things have
and
changed.
I'm like,
whereas before, I bet you though, before the processes that you dealt with years earlier with the CNO were probably in place still in Connecticut as well.
Yes.
But just with that time difference, and obviously now you could write the NCLEX even in Canada, the States, whatever, things have changed tremendously.
It has changed. The pandemic did move things a lot.
It moved mountains. What feels like mountains, seriously.
And it also changed the NCLEX question types.
Yeah.
Like the amount of questions they used to ask before, because after during the pandemic, they said, okay, well, you know what, we're trying to move as much people along, and this long, lengthy list of questions doesn't quantify anymore. So let's just get to the point. So they shortened the amount of questions.
Right.
They kept the time the exact same, but they shortened the list of questions. So you basically do all the questions and still have hours left over.
Absolutely.
To do anything.
Absolutely.
Right. So I mean, like, everybody has looked at the pandemic as it was a bad thing that happened. A lot of people lost their life. But out of that came some good things as well.
Absolutely. We've talked about it. We had a whole episode about this. Yeah.
It pushed a lot of things, and it made all the other systems realize,
wow, this is primitive.
Yes. And right now we have a shortage of everything. And if we want to not have this in the future, we need to put the structure in place.
Absolutely.
So we can move things quick. So that way nobody has to be waiting 6 months, because what would a nurse do for you 6 months when you need them today?
That's right.
True.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not going to I need a nurse. And you'd be like, oh, well, it's a 6-month process. By then.
Well, too true. Think about during the pandemic, how many nurses didn't want to get like the COVID injection, or didn't want to come into work, or for whatever reason, regardless of the reason, we lost a ton of nurses.
Yes.
But you had a ton of nurses here from other countries willing to work but couldn't get licenses. True. So that's why they have all these programs in place now for internationally qualified nurses to go through these programs and then eventually become RNs, right? So it's awesome.
It made a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now that you get this NCLEX.
So now they're telling me about this. So I said, okay, you know what? That's it. To hell with nursing.
Yeah.
Forget this crap. I am done. I'm going to go find something else to do. So I started, I worked at FedEx. I got sick of that job because, so I used to work for UPS while I was going to school over here. That was before I went to the University of Windsor. I used to work for UPS.
Okay.
Different environment altogether because that's a union-based job.
For sure.
So when they said, oh, you can get 8 hours a day, that has to be guaranteed. They can't basically say, well, it's 8 hours today, 5 hours tomorrow.
Right.
I go, and I'm knowing that I'm in a different system altogether. I go there, and they tell me, yes, this job is guaranteed from 12 midnight to 7 a.m. That's your hours. Now, mind you, I'm driving an hour plus to get to this job.
Damn.
It's not like I'm just like hopping it, it's just down the street from me, and I'm just like, hey, I could walk. No, I have to drive an hour plus to get up to this job. First month, yeah, true enough, 12 to 7. Then all of a sudden they said, okay, one night they said, okay, based on the flow of packages we have coming in, we're going to go from 1 to 7. Okay, still 6 hours, man, whatever. I don't work the weekends. I still have the time here, so I'll come in. Then it went from 1 to 7, 2 to 7, 3 to 7.
Oh, man.
4 to 7. Then it'd be like, oh, come in at 5 o'clock. So
I'm driving more than I'm working.
I'm driving more than I'm working. At this point, I'm driving almost an hour and a half, and each day I'm basically, who's paying me for this distance? That I'm going to be driving more than I'm actually here at the job. I'm like, and I'm going to get up. No, logistically, how does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
I'm going to get up out of my bed at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, whatever, to drive up the distance to work for 2 hours.
Right.
And then get back and then go back home and do the same thing and then get stuck in traffic, mind you.
That's crazy.
Does that? So I said to him, like, you know what? I'm going to take a leave right now. My wife was pregnant at this time. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a leave right now because none of this makes any sense. Right. Because I said to them, I was like, you guys told me when I got here, I'd be working from 12 to 7. What happened to that? Oh, well, based on the number of packages. That doesn't have nothing to do with me.
That's right.
But the way that they work the system over there is that if you work sorting packages, they want you to move in that time frame. They want us to sort 5,000 packages in 2 hours.
Whoa.
And that's also including loading up the trucks for delivery in that 2 hours. So they unload, sort, and load in 2 hours. 5,000 packages. How do you even make that feasible?
You don't.
Because they have me on the line, and I have to sort in 3 lines. So there's a line based on the code is going straight, coming down in front of me, and going to the other side. And I have to pull, push, push. That stuff wears on the back. I don't understand how anybody could do this job, say they do it for 20, 30 years. Yeah. And no. Pull, push, and they work you. And I'm talking about when you look at the amount of package coming down, you got to move so fast. You're looking down the line, and it's like, the belt is wide, and there's like probably about 100 packages all crammed together in that one short space, and you have to move, and you're just standing right there, and it's like, my God, this is hell. Yeah. And then they give you this short little break. They say, 15-minute break, but it takes like 10 minutes to walk from where you are to the break room.
You walk halfway through, you got to turn around and come back.
So when you get there, all you quickly get is grab some water and just head right back because your break is already over at this point. What was the point?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was brutal. And I said, okay, I couldn't do this anymore. So I left that and I said, okay. One of my wife's family said, oh, you could come and work at Comcast. So I worked for Xfinity. Never doing that again. I have never lied to so many people in my life. Like how when you're doing something and you just feel so bad because you're telling people things that that is not true. Yeah, right. Like you're basically lying for a living, and it's not even a good living that you're lying for either.
That's a fact,
right? You barely after healthcare and costs, I was barely taking home any money for the month anyways. And I'm sitting here lying to people, telling them that this is your best option when I know full well this is the worst option for you. Yeah. I have to listen to people who are in retirement telling me they can't afford this, can I do anything better? And all I could offer them is, well, if you got this package, now mind you, the package that I'm offering you costs you $75 more.
Damn.
But because what they want, I can't bring them down because the way they set it up is that they know what people like to watch a lot. And what they will do is that they will remove that part from the lower tier packages and put it in the higher tier packages to force the people to get the higher tier package just to get the channels that they watch a lot. So back then, it was ID and where they watch all the criminal shows and stuff like that. Yeah. That was popular. What Xfinity decided was that they're going to take that away from the basic section and move it up to the top tier. So the people who had basic, all of a sudden one day, without any warning, they turn on the TV channel to there, and there's no channels. So now they're calling and they're cussing. I'm like, yeah, well, I could give you that channel, but we're gonna have to bump you up to the next package and send $75 more. Yeah. And I'm just looking at this. I'm like, I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't take. It got to the point I couldn't take it anymore. And then they were trying to force me to sell cell phones on top of that. And mind you, I don't even use the cell phone product. Yeah. I use their internet. I use their TV. And as an employee, I think it was terrible stuff. Yeah. I thought their internet was the worst internet. And I work for them.
For sure.
Now, I work for you, and I know your services are garbage. Why would I go lie to tell somebody that you think? The problem being is that you had no choice. Yeah, absolutely. Because the places where you live, they have the Xfinity and Comcast. And yes, I know you guys, if anybody employed from Comcast ever hear this, don't even try that, because you guys know that the customers have no choice. Yeah. Because they can't go anywhere else to get any of the services. So you just basically just do whatever the hell you want to. Even now, to this day, I'm still suffering. I'm not an employee there anymore, but even now, I've been complaining about the same problem for 4 years.
I'm not surprised.
And it hasn't been fixed to this day. Yeah. So I basically, every so often, I will call them and say, listen, you haven't fixed my problem. I need a credit. And I need another credit.
Yeah, for sure.
I will call them. I said, until it starts costing you guys money to come and fix the problem, I'm just going to keep asking for credits, because you guys are never going to fix my problem.
That's right.
Tell me, if you get the higher speed internet, that should fix the problem.
Fiber optics, yeah.
No, they don't have no fiber. Here's a joke. Fiber optics only came to the United States about 2 years ago. Before that, they didn't have it. When I first came to that country and I got internet, I'm like, first question I ask, you guys have fiber optics? They'd be like, what is that? I'm like, what do you mean, what is that? Yeah. I'm like, fiber optics. Yeah. They'd be like, no, we don't offer that. All we offer is cable. I'm like, and you guys are getting fiber optics? Oh, it's too expensive. Too expensive of what? Fiber optics is expensive up front, cheaper in the long run. Yeah, right. They didn't want to do that, so basically they just price gouge the daylights out of everybody.
American education,
and I'll tell you, when you finally get down to it, now it's like I'm still paying them for services. And mind you, if my wife is watching TV and she's watching Hulu, and my kids are watching Netflix, and I say, you know what, let me watch and see what's on Prime, I will not be able to watch Prime.
DSL, nigga. You remember DSL? You remember DSL? Or no?
Man, DSL was even better than that. Because, I mean, come on. At least at that point, DSL, it had its flaws, but at least when it worked, it worked.
Yeah, sure.
Right? This was not a situation. It's like, even to this day, I'm like, I used to play a lot of online gaming. Yeah. I would stream. I would play online with people. I record, and then I publish on like Xbox and Steam or whatever. Right. Clips. I can't even do that.
Damn.
I went online to play the game. I sat there for 30 minutes. Yeah. Waiting to be connected online.
That's crazy.
And mind you, I'm connected to the modem. So I'm hardwired to the modem, and I still
can't get shit.
And I'm sitting right there, and I'm just like looking at this, and I'm in the middle of playing a mission, and then the game just cut off and boot me out. Tell me there's the internet connection is too slow. I'm thinking, how is the internet connection too slow?
I should be the fastest.
Yeah. And this is while I'm working for them.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm lying to them. I'm like, I get to the point still can't do this anymore. So my wife got a better job. Yeah. Now she's in Connecticut. She just gave birth to my son. So I said to her, I was like, okay, we're still here in Massachusetts. It's easier for me because I'm making any money anyways. Because I'm making bare nothing. So, you work. I'll stay home and take care of our kids in the meantime, and then we'll figure out what to do after that. Eventually, we moved from Mass to Connecticut, and I said, okay, you know what? After long processing, I didn't want to go and do it again. I fought because I didn't want to do it again because I was so mad at how the process went the first time.
Of course.
I didn't want to do it. And I fought her on it.
Of course.
And she knows I fought her on it because she got mad at me for not doing it. Eventually, I caved and I said, you know what? All right, let's go back and start from the ground level. And I went back to school to get a certification as a, over here they call it PSW, over there they call it CNAs.
Right.
And I went and I got a certification as a CNA, right? And I worked for that for a few years.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, it's okay, but no money.
That's right.
So.
And them CNAs work hard, boy.
Yeah.
And you're making less money.
And you're making less money.
Yeah.
And I worked through an agency because I saw that if I worked through an agency, I would make more money than if I did work for a company. Although many of the companies started to say, hey, why don't you come work for us? I'm like,
of course.
no.
Yeah, that's how they trap you.
That's exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I like my money and my freedom.
Absolutely.
So I think, and then while I was doing that now, got to the point and my wife said, okay, you know what? Why don't you try? I was talking to one of the supervisors where I was working. Nice guy. He was a nursing supervisor. He said, why don't you go and get your LPN? And he's like, I got a friend that runs a Stone Academy. Apply, I'll talk to him and then thing. So I got into Stone.
Okay, so you have a nursing manager. He says, I know a boy at Stone Academy. You said
Stone Academy. He says he knows the chief, the CEO.
Okay.
There, the CEO. He's from the Caribbean, right? They hired a Jamaican guy to run the company.
Yeah.
In a lot of businesses, it's very rare to find anybody in a thing, and he was doing a good job because he took the company from nothing to one of the top nursing schools in Connecticut. I mean, 80% of the LPNs in Connecticut come from Stone Academy.
Wow.
Right? That school had that credentialing level.
Wow.
To that level, so they were really good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to apply.
Yeah.
I applied. This is where the first problem started. He said, okay, you got to come in and do 4 assessment tests.
Okay.
To test my mathematics, English, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Like a standardized test.
Right.
Okay.
I show up, and they tell me, yep, so are you ready for your 5 tests? I'm like, wait, what? 5 tests? I'm like, you told me there was going to be 4.
Yeah.
Where did the 5th one? I studied for 4.
Yeah.
Where's the 5th one coming from? Right? They threw in a random test at the end of it. I guess it's like to throw people off guard.
Yeah.
I passed them. Like, how about you? This wasn't even top 10 of play.
Yeah.
Nursing school in Canada was way harder than this nonsense that you guys are throwing at me, so whatever. So I got into the program. At that point, the pandemic was already, picking up full force. So all the school is online at this point.
Okay.
So, you have to log in online, sit down there, blah, blah, blah. The course, I did the part-time night.
Okay.
Program was supposed to be done 22 months, so less than 2 years. We go from 5 until 10. The course is not even that long because one class. The class is finished like in an hour. So it's literally 5 to 6. Do some homework. We're all good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Pandemic is winding down. Decide they're going to start transitioning to the classroom.
Right.
No problem with that. Start going to the classroom. Problem started. The CEO, in his infinite, not so brilliant way, decided to ask for a raise.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Because he says, listen, you guys are getting more students than you've ever gotten before in the time because of the program and the structure that I laid out. At that point, my wife applied because the same guy, the funny thing is that, and to this day, I get a good laugh out of it. So I used to work at a job near our house when we were living in Malden. That's in Malden, Connecticut. I used to work at a facility probably about 10 minutes from the house. They were pushing around. They wouldn't give me a login credentials. It was taking forever to get all this stuff. I'm training, but I can't do anything because now I can't log and say I've done anything. So then it basically seems I'm coming to get paid. I'm just sitting down doing nothing because I have no paper trail to show that I'm actually changing the residence, doing all the stuff like that. So I decided, you know what? I applied to an agency. The agency was offering me more money, so I took it. So they sent me to the place where I went and met the nursing supervisor.
Okay.
And I was working there. They were paying me more money. I was getting more hours. The other place was just rubbing their feet around.
Yeah.
Eventually, they decided to give me some more hours. I don't know how they found out, but they found out that, this is what he comes back and is like, when we were talking about you got to be careful what you say to certain people, because certain people they don't have any interest for you. They basically see you, in most cases, that saying nurses eat their young is a very true statement because some people are always just looking out for their own benefit and they see you as a target to that benefit, especially 100%. If someone wants to get more hours And you coming in, they see you as a person that's taking away from hours that they should be able to get. So they will sabotage you at any point.
That's right.
So I literally got sabotaged. And they come around and told me, oh, well, you know what? We found out you're working at another facility. You can't work here. So they suspended me off the job for a month. I laughed because I was only working a couple of days here anyways, and the other place was asking if I could work more.
Yeah.
And you just keep
more.
Yeah.
You
made me work more. What was the point?
They just pushed you to
They just pushed me to the other place.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
the other place was I was getting paid more. I was working more. So when they finally lifted my 1 month suspension, I went back, and then things just kind of felt kind of off at that point. Especially when the guy who was just be showing me around and training me around decided that he was going to go and tell people that I didn't do my job and I don't do anything and he's doing all the work. Now, mind you, I'm doing all the work. Here's what happened the one night. They got short-staffed. I'm in the middle of doing rounds, right? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the middle of doing rounds, getting people, changing people, doing all the stuff like that. The nursing supervisor comes in and tells me, okay, I need you to leave and go down to the floor below because we don't have any staff. We one short, and you can go down there and help them. So I'm like, okay, but I said, I'm in the middle of this. Can you just wait until it fit? Oh, no, you need to go down now. So I finished up who I was dealing with. I told the guy, listen, they told me I had to go downstairs. I only have this, and this person left to do, blah, 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 blah. I guess he was pissed or whatever. He went and complained and said that, oh, I show up at work and I don't do nothing. And I just, I leave the residents wet. I don't change them at all. I just sit down all day and I'm just there, just not even paying attention. I just come there. So they came upon me with some case about, oh, we heard this. I'm like, you heard what? I'm like, I do my job. I'm like, if you're talking about the day that I had to leave the floor, I didn't leave it of my own thing. I was told I had to leave by the nursing supervisor. It was the end of the story. I'm not going to just get up and just be like, you know what? You take care of it. I'm just going to stop doing it. No. Right? And I'm like, I said to them, check everywhere else that I've worked. Here's a list of the places I worked. Yeah. Ask anybody where I've ever worked. Have I ever done this before? Yeah. All of a sudden, just one random day that is that. He never complained about anything other than that, but this random day that he would complain about this. Yeah. Right? I'm like, okay. I handed my resignation. I'm like, I'm not even going to bother with you guys on that stuff. Yeah. They sent me a letter a month later telling me they fired me. They sent me a letter. Mind you, I wrote a letter of resignation. Yeah. I have a copy. Yeah. I kept one for myself because you always got to keep copies with the dates and everything like that. That's right. Just in case they decide to pull those shenanigans. Yeah. And I go in and I give it to HR. I handed the letter into her hands. I guess they didn't like what I wrote in the reason why I'm quitting because I gave them a detailed reason. I said, you know what? I've been working here for over 4 months. Only in the last 2 weeks have you guys given me my credentials to log into the computer. So mind you, I've been here for 3.5 months. I couldn't even log in to do anything, right? You finally showed me how to use the system. Months later, you wanted me to use somebody else's login, which I will not do. Right. Because that is not a policy. And then you have people over here basically bullying me and spreading lies about me and stuff. Like, this is not a very entertained environment to work at. Yeah. I left. My wife started teaching for Porter and Chester, the competition to Stone Academy. Lo and behold, she ended up at the same facility where I quit, where she's teaching clinical. Yeah. So when she told me she was working, I'm like, you do know I used to work there, right? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's the place where I quit, the one that would drive me nuts. Yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. Then she come back to me one day. She's like, this place is ridiculous. I'm like, I told you that place was a nuisance. They're so disorganized. She's like, this place is disorganized. They don't know anything. They don't know what. I'm like, I told you that before when I was there.
Did y'all share last names at this point?
No. She still kept her last name.
Okay.
So they don't know.
So there's no
No, they don't know who I am or anything like that. It's only when she went to the other place where the nursing supervisor is, and she said, "Oh yeah, my husband, he used to work here," and I'm like, "Who?" And he told me, and then he's like, "Okay." Right. So then he basically told her, hey, if you're looking for a teaching job too, you can go to Stone Academy. Yeah. So then she applied there while the CEO was in place. And he decided that, you know what, they didn't want to pay him the money that he was all he was asking for was a raise. I mean, they're making money hand to foot. Right. And he's saying like, well, you guys are getting the top tier cut. The board of directors is getting all the money. Where's my piece? Yeah. They said no. So he went and he applied to what's that? Oh my goodness, I can't remember. I live right next to the school. I can't remember it. The Huskies.
Oh, UConn.
UConn.
Hey.
He applied to UConn. UConn said, that's what you're asking for? Yeah, done.
Amazing.
So he
yeah,
quit.
why wouldn't you?
Then when he quit, they're selling him. Now, mind you, I know all of this story because I know the guy.
Right.
So, right? So he's going and he left. So they were trying to offer him the money. No, he's like, well, it's too late. He already accepted the job.
Of course.
This is he's already moving on. So he left. When he left, everything that he built
Came down.
Bam. Within a 2-year period, just crashed down to the ground like it was nothing.
But by this point, what, are you a year in? How far?
I'm about at this point about 9 months in.
Okay.
And he's gone. Now everything starts falling apart. And then when he left, a lot of the people who were there, who were working under him, a lot of them left too.
Yeah.
So now they have to fill in these people. And then they're finding these people now who are, for lack of a better term, I'm nice and much incompetent.
Yeah.
So over there, they have this rule. You have to have a master's in order to teach.
Right.
A BSN master's in order to teach. They started hiring teachers who have associate's degrees to teach the program. Now, that is not according to state law.
Absolutely.
So they're cutting corners. They don't have no clinical teachers. They hire people who don't have the credential to teach clinical. So these teachers, they can't teach you anything because they cannot have access to the PICSA system or the medication system. So they have to basically now come and rely on one of the, mind you, the school's paying this clinical instructor.
Right.
And this clinical instructor can't access anything to help you on how to give medication administration. So they have to find a nurse
Works there full time.
who works there to pull everything and teach the student how to do it, which is in itself is causing a problem.
Absolutely.
On top of that now, because everything's going upheaval during the COVID time now, they had this rule that if you were sick with COVID, you cannot come to clinical.
Right.
You got to quarantine like everybody else
That's
until
right,
you get better and negative tests and stuff like that. Some of the students decided that they were going to lie and say they didn't have COVID because when you go in, you have to get your temperature checked. And you got to answer these questionnaires.
Yeah.
So everybody they lied on it.
Yeah.
And one of the students infected a whole unit with COVID.
Oh. Worst.
No, so I haven't started clinical yet, mind you. Okay, all the stuff is going on before. Now you have students when they wanted to get the COVID vaccine before you can go into clinical placement. Some of the students decided they weren't going to get it. They're going to go pay some guy in New York a few $100s to fill out that paperwork for them.
Yeah, I told you, bro. That was money.
We had an episode where we talked about that. There's these two NPs in New York. They were doing exactly what you said, and they made like millions until they got caught because they had a ledger book that had every patient's name, how much they made, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, they're spending some time in jail right now.
Yeah.
Don't drop the soap, ma'am.
Don't drop it. It's like, if you're going to be doing something shady, don't.
So you're saying nursing students were getting the COVID card just to have access to go clinical.
Right. But here's the problem. And you see, this is where a lot of them don't realize. Yes, you can have the COVID card. COVID card means nothing. You know what means the most stuff? That number on the vial.
That shows that you actually got the dose and it actually matches to something.
Right. Because even when my wife used to do it, she used to give flu shots, right? And then sometimes she would have, like she had to give me my flu shot because she had it at home, and then she would fill out the paperwork.
That's right.
She had to fill out the lot number, the expiration date and stuff like that. And then what they would do is that they would pull, that's what the people at Stone Academy did, they pulled the lot number and they went and checked the lot number in the system to see if it existed with any vials that had been distributed.
So they had a system like that already.
Yes. So when they pull the lot numbers didn't match up, but then it doesn't exist. So when it doesn't exist, they call these students in and expel them. Now, mind you, these students now could never enter any nursing program.
That's right.
Ever again, because this goes on their record. No matter what state they go in, when they run their education, they will see that they were pulled from school for fraud.
Yeah.
So
who was it that actually had access to the database? Was it like the actual nursing school or?
It was the school. They had that whole thing set up where they basically, whenever you gave them any information, they ran it through their system to make sure the information.
So they probably had like an affiliation with that had access. Okay.
Because the school at Stone Academy I went to is part of a chain of different schools.
Okay.
So their main school is like Goodwin University and stuff like that. It's a whole bunch of them because there's a family that owns the whole lot.
I got you.
And then the school was distributed according to nephews or whatever. And the guy who was given Stone Academy, he ran that crap to the ground. But, you know, he was a greedy little. I'm going to keep the words to myself because when they did the newscast on him, he's living in his $3.4 million mansion.
Damn.
With his $200,000 car, and he's talking about, I built my house in the neighborhood. What neighborhood? There's only one road into your house. You're in the middle of nowhere by yourself.
In a $3.4 million house.
And you living the life of a king and talking about, oh yeah, you're here for the students. And they also, what they did too was these board of people, because they all got into, they took the money the government gave for the students for COVID. And they kept it to themselves.
Of course.
And then they gave you the small change on the bottom and tell you, oh, you have to apply, and based on your how much money you made in your tax. But it wasn't so work that way. I found out later on that the money that they gave them, they were supposed to just hand it out to the students and not even think. But they basically, they figured out a way to keep most of it for themselves and give a small chunk of the change to the students and then make you apply every month. And then what they do is that they made the application window so small. So it's like 7 days. They will send you the email.
72 hours.
They'll send you the email. So if the window closes on October 20th, you'll get the email on October 16th. And if you're not paying attention,
oh yeah,
you're done.
Yeah.
Right? And they'll be like, oh yeah, well we sent the email out 2 weeks ago. Well, I'm only getting it 4 days before the due date.
Yeah, right.
Right? This is the kind of stuff that they were pulling.
Crooks.
So everything started going downhill from there. So now the problem being is now the reputation Stone Academy had.
Plummeting.
No clinical, no facility wanted any students from Stone Academy.
Oh no.
Oh, I mean, it was bad. We finally found a place where we can go. The teacher was excellent. I mean, she was an excellent clinical teacher. She didn't play.
Yeah.
When she asked you to do something, she wanted it done. She didn't want no complaints. She didn't want no headache. She didn't want nothing. She tells you. So she basically says, listen, the good part of nursing is that to be able to do anything is a thorough head-to-toe assessment. Mm-hmm. You can find out everything you need to know about your students with a thorough head-to-toe assessment. She says, they give us a detailed, because we have, the one good thing is that they give you a detail about the complete head-to-toe assessment, what you need to look for, questions you need to ask, everything from where you start to where you finish.
Right.
And she said, all this needs to be done in about 15 minutes. So you walk in, she said, from the time you walk into the door, you should already have half of the stuff filled out. From the time you introduce yourself and you start talking, you should already know half of the stuff already on the go, right? So we walk in there and we start doing. And the place we were working at was a rehab, short stay rehab, which is unbelievable because there were so many admissions in that place. I didn't even think it was even possible. Yeah, we were there from 5 until 10. In that period of time, there was like 8 admissions.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, okay, I'm going to go in with you guys. I'll show you how it's done. Right? And then every day I'm going to pick 2 or 3 of you to do this. Well, me and one of the other students, she didn't worry about us anymore. She's like, here you go. Go do your head-to-toe assessment. The both of us went. We went together to do it because then we could help each other out. The others were complaining. They were showing up late. Like one guy, we started at 5. He showed up at 8. What was the point? What point are you showing up at 8 o'clock?
Absolutely.
Yeah, at that point it's over.
Clinical is almost over.
Yeah.
And we finished at 8:30. What was the point of you showing up? So when he pulled up in the parking lot, we were already leaving. Yeah. So then how do you figure, what was the point of you even coming in the first place?
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, just fake sick at that point.
Yeah. So, and then the other students were complaining, oh, why they got to do this? This is too much work, blah, blah, blah. So they went and they complained to the school. Now, mind you now, the clinical teacher didn't know any of that stuff. And mind you, she works at this facility, right? This is her job. And she put her neck out in a time when she already had a bad issue with Stone, because she was the one that one of the Stone students lied about being sick with COVID and ended up infecting a whole place, and they got kicked out of one facility. She stuck her neck out for this. Yeah. And then they went and complained about her. And the story is how I heard it. It was basically she went to the school for a meeting, and they just had her a stack of complaints from the students in the clinical. Now, mind you, I wasn't on one of them, so that wouldn't be me, I think. And the other girl that I know, she wasn't one of them either. And when she came in, the girl told me that. She's like, can you believe this? Her words were, you believe this, motherfuckers? Yeah. Why would they go and do something? There's nothing wrong. She was teaching us good stuff. She was a great teacher. She made sure we had every opportunity to learn something. Absolutely. Right? And they went and complained because it was too much work. She's like, this. And she started cussing explicits that I will not get into. Yeah. And she's like, now, what's going to happen? Come back to the clinical next week. The teacher said, okay, this is my last week. She quit. She said, I'm done.
Yeah.
She basically had enough and couldn't take it anymore because these, soft, whiny little students, she couldn't deal with them anymore.
Yeah.
So she quit. So they brought in a new person to come in, and the person didn't even last a week. The person basically just did our evaluation to finish up that second clinical session.
Yeah.
And did the final evaluation, and then that was it. Now we had to be hunting so we couldn't find any clinicals anymore because, again, nobody wanted Stone
Academy students.
So, in-house clinical. We went to basically the lab to learn how to do the skills that we should be doing out in the field.
Right.
Every single time we show up in the lab, this is what we have to do. And for 2 semesters of clinical, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing because nobody wanted to, take out the thing. Eventually, the last semester, they found one of the guys, he used to go to Stone. And then he did his LP, and then he went and got his RN, and now he was infection control at a facility. So he stuck his neck out for Stone. And he brought some students in. Oh, my God, all they ever did was whine and complain. I'm like, oh, my God. I had to sit to them one time. I was like, if you guys were in the nursing school in Canada where I went to, none of you would even be here.
Yeah, that's right.
I would be like, right now, in this clinical, there'd probably be 2 of us in here. Maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
Because all you guys doing is ever whining and complaining.
Yeah.
They did that to a teacher at the beginning of one of the courses, and I got to the point where I got so mad. I just had to raise my hand up and I said, can I just interrupt the class for a second? I was like, I don't know what you guys are whining about. This is what I said to them. In the class of probably about 30 people, I said, I don't know what you guys are whining about. Right? They're literally handing you the answers to the test. I don't know what you're still whining about that you didn't get the perfect score, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? If you had spent the time to study, you didn't. I said, you know what? The funny thing is that if all of you were in Canada right now, none of you would be in this nursing program.
Right.
All of you would have already been flunked out because the teachers over there don't play with this nonsense. You over here getting a grace period.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? At least they're helping you out to be able to pass together and thing. You're just whining about it and saying, had you been in a different country, you would have been out.
For sure.
Long time. You'd have been done. They would have never heard of you ever again. I'm like, you guys just need to stop your whining. And basically, at that point, you got a lot of people looking at me sideways. I'm like,
hey,
I was like, I went to school in Canada. I went to nursing school in Canada. I said to them, I stood up in front of the class and said, you know what my teacher said to me my first day? She said to the class, first day of nursing school. She walked up in front of the class, introduced herself, and she said, so many new faces today. She's like, well, just want to let you know, by the time the end of the semester is done, 50% of you will be gone. That's what she said.
Harsh truth.
And at the end of the first semester, 25% was gone. By the time we got to the end of the 2 years at Seneca, there was only probably there was a couple of hundred of us. There was probably, when we went to York, there were probably only 50 of us left. Damn. The numbers got weeded down so fast, I didn't even, and every semester you go, the passing grade point average goes higher. Yeah. So the first one they gave you, I think it was 70%. Then the next semester it was 75. By the time we got to York University, 85 was if you didn't have 85 or greater, that was a fail mark for you.
And this is in Canada.
This is in Canada here.
So in Canada, if y'all don't know, 70% is a B, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
A B, and then 80 is you now hit into the A- range.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
So they weren't even playing with that at a point, and they didn't go by, because I've seen people in my court that got 78.7. That's not a 85%,
So, yeah.
That is still a fail.
Yeah.
So you failed by a 0.3. That's literally a kick to the teeth, because
for sure.
that is the most painful thing you could ever experience. Is you were that close to passing the class and it was done. Yeah, I'm sure. Over here, I said, they're not even bothering. You basically do whatever. You failed this test, you failed that test, you passed the final, you move on. I'm like, you guys are griping about this?
So hold on. So did you finish at Stone Academy? So what happened with this?
Oh.
And you're in the LPN program there?
In the LPN program, and I'm like, we are having the hardest time ever, because like I told you, it's now the guy is telling us he's doing the thing. Now, what he's doing is that on top of that, because he knows that we're coming too close to our final couple of clinicals. So he said, you know what? There's not much to do here at night.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is that we're going to spend the first hour, and I'm going to help you guys study for the NCLEX.
Amazing.
Which I think, all right, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. That would be helpful. He goes in and explains to you why this question doesn't work and why the rationale doesn't work for it. And he was doing fantastic. So we had this book. So they had, when we got to Stone, because Stone was the school that basically gave you all the resources you need to continue out through. So they even paid for your first attempt at the NCLEX.
Get the hell out of here.
As part of your tuition. They also give you all access to something called ATI testing. So they give you all the textbooks.
I know ATI testing.
Right.
Yeah,
they give you all the books, and they give you the access to ATI to answer all the questions. So they give you a question bank, and they give you all the books. That was part of your tuition for Stone. The only school that ever did that was Stone.
Yeah.
All the other schools never bothered. You had to pay for this thing out of pocket.
Right.
And I found ATI testing to be fantastic when it came to that because it did help me on multiple levels on how to study. So he was spending the time doing that. Now, one of the students, for some weird reason, I don't know what it was about these people, man. I don't know where the hell these students came from, but they got into some altercation with one of the nursing staff over some wound with a resident, and that basically kicked us in the teeth because at this point now, although he's the infection control guy, there's somebody above him. The person above him says to him, after you finish with this round of clinical with them, we're done. We want no more Stone students in this building ever. Damn. Imagine how you're going to get hit. You're in the program. You need to finish this out, and then you get hit with, we don't want you here no more. Yeah. Now, mind you went from not having clinical to finally getting it to opening your mouth and not respecting the lay of the land. It's basically you walk into someone's territory, you better just follow the rules of that territory and finish it.
Absolutely.
And then get out. But no, they have to walk in with, I know best. I've done this for years. Things like, you never walk into a place thinking that you know more than what is going on. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, they didn't get that. They didn't get that memo, and they said, no, we're done. So the guy came in and says, okay, after we finish next week, because we're supposed to go back again. He said, no, after you guys finish next week, that's it. We're done completely. Wow. There's no more. You guys. No
and
more
how much you still have another year left after this?
No, right at this point right now, I am down to the last semester.
Oh my God.
This happened.
Imagine getting kicked in the face in the last semester when you needed the clinical, the practice the most. Right. You get hit in the face and you be told, that's it. We're sick and tired of you people. Just get out and don't ever come back. So they decided to accept the other students from the other schools. Stone is out. Now, mind you, we've been kicked out of pretty much every facility we can ever think of in a 50-mile radius. We ain't got nothing left. Yeah. So the school had to adjust. What did they do? Back to in-class. So what did they do this time now? And this is where the problem kicked in. They decided that they were going to basically hold an NCLEX study session as clinical.
And how did that work?
Basically, you came in as if you were like a clinical session, but instead they were teaching you how to pass the NCLEX.
I mean, it's not totally...
It's not a waste.
Helpful. It's not a waste. But, I mean, it is and it isn't, right? Because you're not getting the clinical hours you need. However, you are getting some good advice for an exam that's going to be difficult.
Yes.
You know?
But they were... So it was a two-share thing. They were teaching you how for the NCLEX, but then we also had what is called an exit exam. Here's what the thing is that. If you don't pass the exit exam, that's considered you not graduating. So even if you did all that...
Yeah.
And mind you, we're already crossed over the 2-year mark at this point. I was supposed to finish a while ago.
Right.
So what happened is that they're trying to push through people faster, so they're taking shortcuts and cutting. So instead of, you being in clinical, say you're supposed to be in clinical for one clinical, say you will be there for 2 months. They cut it to 4 weeks. So you do one clinical for 4 weeks, one clinical for 4 weeks. They try to cut it down.
How are they allowed to do this?
Yeah, how's this legal?
Like, that's crazy.
And this is where we're going to get to where everything just kind of fell over at this point. So at this point now, I didn't know in the background that they were given a warning prior to this for cutting corners. Right? The state had given them a warning, but because they churn out 80%, like I said, 80% of the nursing population in Connecticut,
right?
They were given some slack to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And they figured out when they were getting in trouble now, here's the other thing. So remember all the nurses they hired, the teachers they hired who had an associate's degree? They started firing them right around close to Christmas. Because they can't have them on staff because the state is now zeroing in on them. So they have to make everything look as clean as possible.
Absolutely.
So they started shoving other people out of the way and trying to get rid of all the associate teachers out of the way to make sure that they look spotless. Because at that time now, you had students and teachers were complaining about how things were being run. I mean, you had one guy teaching. So we used to do like online ATI exams. We had to do them periodically. And this guy is teaching an exam. He's supposed to be monitoring an exam going on in one room at the same time teaching 2 classes. So he's basically, I see this guy. He runs out of one room, runs into another room because he had so many students for one course that they had to put him in 2 separate rooms. And now he has to teach 10 minutes here, run to the other room, teach 10 minutes here, and then run upstairs to keep an eye on the students doing the ATI test. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world, how in the world does that make any sense?
It doesn't. I don't even know how that's possible, bro.
I'm gonna have to do some research on this school.
Oh, the school doesn't exist anymore.
I was gonna say there's no way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I was getting to the point of the downfall of this place. And he's running back and forth. And I'm like, what is going on here? How can a man be teaching? Now, mind you, you have so much students that there's no room big enough for you to hold all of them. So you got to put them in 2 separate classes. Then you got to be going from one class to the next, one class to the next, one class to the next, all the same time, at the same time, keeping an eye on people doing a test upstairs. How, like,
That's bonkers.
That's crazy.
that's crazy. Right? So the students started complaining. I remember I told you about the COVID money, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The complaints were being piled up a long time before that.
Yeah.
And then, the students were complaining about they're not getting the clinical hours that they were promised, blah, blah, blah. So all of that started adding up. So eventually come down now, they're trying to rush everybody out. So people who came in a previous course before, after us, got pushed out first. And then so I started in, I think, the 2019, October 2019.
Yeah.
The people who started in 2020 got out of the school before I did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? It didn't make any sense to me at this point because I'm looking at people who came in. I know they came in after me.
Right.
And they're finished first. And I'm thinking, how's
that possible?
Was beyond me. I couldn't figure it. So eventually now they realized, I guess the countdown clock was coming. And they had to do a final push. So because, we were the ones that was like still the last bunch that didn't, then again, they tried to shove us out. So they move everything quick. Like, okay, your exit exam is on this day. So we studied for the exit exam.
Yeah.
Most of us passed. Some of us didn't.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody's thinking, they have this thing where you can do it again in a week, right? And if you don't pass it in a week, then you have to do a remediation, which takes about 3 months. Then you can rewrite it again. Now everybody's thinking, oh, whatever. But nobody knows that the clock was already down to the final the final few seconds, right? So I'm like, okay. I finished. I got the thing, and I said, okay, you know what? They were supposed to give me a credit to write the NCLEX exam. All right. Now I'm, studying and stuff like that. One day I'm sitting there and I hear, I don't remember who told me this news or whatever, and then the news just came to me that the school is shut down.
Yo, as you tell me the story, and you tell me about the countdown, you don't know what I'm thinking about? All I can think of is that Kanye West song. Guess who's going to jail tonight? That's literally what's just living in my head.
So I'm like, nah. No. That you get skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that is not true. I roll through the news footage and I'm seeing news reports. I'm like, no. I don't believe this nonsense. Right? There's no way the hell that makes any sense. Got in my car, drove down to the school, walked over there, and I see students are picketing. Students are on picketing, protesting in front of the school.
Yeah.
News cameras are right there, and I'm like, no. I walked up to the school. All the blinds are
Guess who's going to jail tonight?
Check the front door. Locked.
Holy
Walked
shit.
around the back of the school because there's a side entrance. Locked. Went the other one locked. There's a sign on the door. If you want your transcript or any other information, contact the Department of Higher Education or whatever they have to get whatever information you need from there. School's gone.
Fuck.
Oh, they booked it. They got the hell out of there.
Overnight.
They basically shut the whole school down. And I mean, they just shut it down. Like, quick time. Today was open, tomorrow is like nobody was there.
Damn, they grabbed their baby oil and ran, bro. They
grabbed all the evidence and they just landlord that building.
That's crazy.
And then they foot me with the because to this day I still gotta pay the
You're
money.
fucking wild.
What?
Bro.
Here's what the problem. Here's what the other issue is. So The tuition was going to be about $36,000.
Okay.
Half of that was federal funded, so that means that I only had to pay half.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Here's where the other problem comes in. One of the reasons why they got into trouble. They were also charging you for things that they never delivered on. So, say for instance, they were supposed to give you clinical, but you didn't get clinical. Instead, you had to show up at school. They still charged you.
Oh, as if you were going.
And they double charged. No. So when you had filled out the financial reports, right? In their sneaky little way, they didn't put that one in.
Of course.
They waited until you got closer to another semester and they said, okay, well, you know what? You got to redo the paperwork, blah, 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 blah. So redid the paperwork. Only to find out later on that when you redid the second paperwork, they put both of them at the same time. So it looked like
you did it twice.
They got more money. So now they stuck me. When I saw the bill, it came up to $40K. I called the state. I left messages. Nobody was answering my phone call at this point. I said to them, I was like, listen, I sent an email to the guy who runs the education department. I said to him, and it was in a threatening manner. And it was meant to be threatening manner. I said to him, I was like, you let this get to this point. Stone didn't just do this overnight. Right. You guys left this unattended and let this happen. And the ball rolls with you. And there's no way you're going to stick me with this bill for all this amount of money. This is what I said. They told me was supposed to happen. And I have the proof to back up what they told me was supposed to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not paying this $40,000. Okay. A month passed. And then I get another bill. It's down to about 25. I'm like, still not low enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, if anything, you should knock another 10 off of that.
I need to see less zeros, big homie.
I need to see less zeros, right? So I'm still in fight with them. I even got to the point where now I am still waiting. It's going to take 6 months before I even hear back on the stoppage that I put because some of the students sued the school for fraudulent practices.
Of course.
And because that is on the record, I can file for them to remove my student loans because the school has been sued for fraudulent thing. They tell me, oh, well, you graduated already, and that was the trick. You see, they pushed a whole bunch of us through quickly,
right?
So they can still claim the money off of that one.
Absolutely.
So then we can't go back and claim that
they were putting us through the fraud.
That's what they did. So they hung a whole bunch of us out to dry. But a lot of people were still able to. But it came down to who was the loan provider. So certain loan providers were able to zero out the numbers. The ones I'm stuck with will not zero out the numbers, despite all the overwhelming proof I can prove to them. They will not zero the numbers. So I'm still fighting with them on that one. But, we'll see.
So till this day,
I'm still fighting with them.
Till this day.
To
this day, I'm still fighting with them on that. And then here's where the joke comes in now. So I passed the exit exam.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Waiting for your NCLEX letter to
Just got to register for the NCLEX and get myself all hooked up. Get a letter from the state saying, no.
Nah, nigga.
It's like, we have everybody who finished in Stone 2 years. You know how far back they went back? I think they went back until like 2017.
Oh, damn.
And everybody from 2017 to my cohort, everybody's freeze. Everybody's license, everybody was evaluated at this point. Everything was frozen up until that point. And mind you, I went to school, I studied, I passed the exit exam as was thing. Time for me to write the NCLEX. They tell me, no, you can't. Not until we have done a thorough investigation. So I said, how long is that going to take?
Oh, that could be years, bro.
They said me, well, it could go anywhere from 6 years to a year, maybe 2 years. I'm like, but by the time you get to it, then that means my education is done. I'm going to have to redo this all over again.
Right.
Man, I was mad.
For sure.
I'm like sitting right there, I'm like,
bro, 2 years of your life wasted.
Literally 2 years of my life wasted. Like, am I going to ever get those hours back?
$40,000 down the drain.
Right. And driving back and forth all over this place.
Right.
That's money I'm not going to see back. Yeah. That's things I'm never going to get back. No time I'm going to get back. So I sent letter after email after email after email. Here's where the other trick comes in. A few months later, they released people to write the NCLEX. I got no email. I got no notifications. I got nothing. How I heard about it was I sent a text message to one of the people who was in the class, and I said, hey, how's it going? Were you able to apply for your thing, for your NCLEX yet? And they'll be like, oh yeah, they released it. I just applied for it. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, so I called the state. I called them back and they'll be like, oh yeah, we approved everybody to write it's about a few weeks ago. I'm like, and nobody was going to.
Everyone but you.
I'm like, nobody was going to tell me nobody was going to inform me about this. Or what? I was going to just wake up one morning and then basically just burn out my education.
Right.
So eventually I study. I finished the NCLEX and
Okay, they did send it to you as well. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I called and they were like, oh yeah, you can go and write it, because I was on the phone with them and I was mad as hell. I'm like, when they come back on the phone, she's like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and write it. I'm like, and how? Because from my own curiosity, I want to know how long would I have been able to do it, instead of me sitting down here. Oh, we cleared you a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
So 2 weeks. I'm sitting right here. Right?
Yeah, of course.
You sent no emails. You sent no text messages. You sent nothing. Didn't allow me to. So I had to figure this out on my own. Yeah. So I finally finished. I went and I wrote the NCLEX. And I went and I started looking for jobs. Now, mind you, I finished the school in January. We're in May.
Yeah.
Right? We're in May.
Yeah.
Then I get the gut punch to the throat, like I was expecting, when they finally gave me my license, which took even longer, because it took another 3. I don't even understand how that took another 3 weeks. I passed the NCLEX. You said I passed the NCLEX, but on the state you said my license is pending. For 3 weeks it's pending. Finally, now the thing. Here was a joke comes in. Now I've already lost like 2 months into that 1 year after I got my license. They turned around and tell me they granted me my license in April. Was it April 30th?
Pay for a whole new year.
And I'm already 2 months in. I'm in June now. Right. So apparently they backdated my license 2 months prior.
Yeah.
So now I'm working on a license that's 10 months left on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't even believe that.
Yeah, bro.
Believe that to myself, because it didn't make no sense. You basically you held me off for this long. Then you decided you're going to backdate the license that I don't have.
Mm-hmm. They kind of do that here. So here, right?
Yeah.
Here, technically, in the LPN program, okay, or RPN, you do your 2 years, and then that last summer, you are in your final placement, and it's the whole summer. So you have to do like 400 hours or whatever, full time, or whoever you're placed with, you're doing their schedule. So you do 400 hours. So for me, I finished in August. I did my NCLEX, whatever, CER, PRNE in September. Okay, so as soon as you pass, you find out like 2 weeks later, whatever, you pass. And then you have to pay for your 1 year registration. Cool. I don't care. I'm about to be a nurse, go to work.
Make that money.
Yeah. Right? November 30th rolls around. You got a month to renew. I'm like, I just did it 2 months ago.
I think we talked about this.
Yes, we did.
Bro, I'm like, I just did it 2 months ago. And I don't know if you got, you don't work here either. The CNO is like $400. Bro.
Finesse.
For a year. So I was like, hold on. If I just didn't work for 2 months, I could just pay for this next year and be gravy. They're like, yeah. But you already paid us in September. It's November. You got to pay the piper again. I was like, I paid you $400 for 2 months? They're like, no, but it just is a year-long thing. I was furious.
No prayer to charge?
They don't tell you. They just tell you when you pass, all right, time to pay for your 1 year license.
And you pay the full price.
But they don't know people don't know every year, November 30th, you get your emails telling you time to renew for your new year.
Right.
Yeah. All this stuff. And I was just
they pick a set. They don't do it based on when
you get your.
No, they do it based on when they pick a specific month and they said, this is the month for all renewals.
So technically January 1st is when the year starts, right? But November 30th, you get the email every year saying you have 1 month to renew for January. I was furious, bro.
No, I can see the getting upset because I would lose that too.
And then $400, right? So there's about, I think we were talking about
$385.
Yeah, something like, we'll say $400, but we were just talking about this when we went to go pick up pizza. There's about 3 million nurses, roughly RNs in the world.
Yeah,
the number's slowly increasing as well too.
Yeah.
Times that by $400. What did that come out to being?
1.2 billion.
1.2 billion. 1.2 billion
With a B.
With a B. Now we're talking about
no
millions.
M's.
Now we're
So
talking about no
M's
M's.
in
We're in a
this-
billion point.
The money that the board of nursing is receiving, what are they doing? Where's it going? Who's pocketing this?
Not mine. It's coming out of my pocket.
It's not going in back.
Ain't nothing going in. Yo, honestly, like,
Makes you wonder.
man, this might be saying too much, but I just don't feel like CNO does that much.
They don't. Then you got to think about it. There's LPNs or RPNs that have to, do their thing. RNs, they got to renew. NPs, they got to renew. CRNAs,
Gotta do it.
they got to renew in the States.
Midwives, everybody got it.
They all got to renew. So where is this money going?
Okay,
Where
but
is
this is my concern. This is my number one concern with someone like the CNO, right? Is that every other board in the world, for the most part, physicians as an example, or RMTs, right? Their board of licensure covers them for what is to come. Let's say you have a malpractice suit.
Yes.
It is your board that covers you.
Yes.
Your board provides your insurance. All these. CNO is not here for nurses.
No.
CNO, even on their statement, they are here for the public.
Yes.
They are not here for the nurses. But for some reason, we have to pay the CNO.
Yeah, how about the public pay for us?
You know what I'm saying? But then I gotta go I gotta go pay for additional, like professional insurance with the RPNAO or the RNAO for you guys, right? And then like there is, so if I had to pay like the RPNAO for my licensure, I'd be like, yeah, cool. You guys cover me if anyone ever wants to sue me for malpractice, whatever. I get coverage. But you got to tell me that I got to pay this company that's covering the public, but not me.
And
how does that make sense?
Like even when you call them, that's the first message you get on saying like we're here for public safety.
That is
And I'm
correct.
thinking to myself, that's kind of an
not for its members. They're not there for its members. They're there for people that aren't their members. But we gotta pay them.
It's crazy.
But then physicians, as an example, they pay the College of Physicians.
Yes.
And God forbid there's a malpractice suit. Now, the College of Physicians, yes, like the CNO, does their investigation, but they provide insurance.
Yes.
They provide like a lawyer or whoever else you need, but they do have a division that does their investigation.
Yes.
But they have a division that protects their members as well.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know where my 400 goes. I don't understand where that's going year over year.
Yeah.
Good question.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's not going to protect me. That's my
Definitely
my
isn't.
concern.
It's not going to protect
No,
you.
absolutely
So
not.
it must be doing something that I guess we don't need to know about. It's like,
I don't know.
just pay it here, walk away, just leave it alone.
You know what I'm saying?
Pretend it never
We'll
existed.
see you back next year when you got to renew.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
We'll be back.
crazy. Okay, so you write your NCLEX pending, but you eventually get it.
Yes.
So will you start working shortly thereafter?
I went to a couple of interviews. I got a couple, jobs. I got one full time and one that I was going to do part time on the side. And this is where it comes into, be careful where you start working. Gauge out the environment. I decided to go to an assisted living facility. Assisted living, they never had this because I'm looking for a night shift from 11 to 7. They never had this before. They were looking to start one. Now I'm thinking, all right, I can do 11 to 7,
Be home with the kids and everything.
Here's the crazy part, though, is I'm the night nurse for the entire building. And there's over 100 plus people in that building.
Holy shit.
The kicker came in now. I'm thinking, yes, okay, I'm the night nurse for this building. What do you think they did to me? They removed one of the aides from the shift and filled me into, now I'm not on a nurse's schedule, Everybody else in the building who's a nurse is on a nurse's schedule. I'm on the CNA schedule.
As a night nurse.
As a night nurse. Right. But everybody who I'm working with think I'm a CNA.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't understand.
They
be like,
see you on their schedule.
They see me on their schedule, so they think I'm an aide. And they don't understand why I'm going into a office and reading the nurse's files.
Yeah.
They started questioning what I'm thinking. They'd be like, so they came in to give me a tutorial on how to take care of the residents. And I'm like, okay. And I'm wondering to myself, I'm like, this is kind of odd. So I went to look at the schedule and I'm seeing myself on so they all think I'm an aide. Only then did they find out that I was the nurse for the building. The look of shock on their faces, like, we have a nurse in here. I'm like, yes, I'm the night nurse. They couldn't even believe that I was the nurse for the facility.
Yeah.
It took a little while for them to kick in. Then the problem started. So the aides have a pager system.
Okay.
So all the residents have a bracelet around their arm. They push it, and basically it sends a message to the pager and the staff to let them know what room needs help. They also have people coming in from different agencies or whatever. Now, mind you, I am the night nurse. My primary location is downstairs in the locked wing with the people who have dementia. That's where I am held up in that office. I only come out to do my rounds, check to make sure everybody's all right, and see if anybody needs any assistance or the residents, everybody's okay. Other than that, this is my station, right? A week go by, a few weeks go by, nothing, everything seems all right. Then one morning I'm leaving, and one of the aides comes to me and says, did you bring back the pager that you took? I'm like, no, I'm confused because I don't have a pager system. Yeah. Right? I may use the walkie-talkie that they'll call when they need something, but I don't have a pager. She's like, because the other nurse said that you were using it and you probably took it and went home with it. I'm thinking to myself, I don't have it. Yeah. Because I don't use that. I took one, yeah. Then went around the building now. I'm at home. Now I have this thing. I told them when I got hired, I said, after I leave this building at 7 o'clock.
Don't call me.
Don't call me, don't text me, don't write me, don't let me know anything, because at this point, I am off limits.
Right.
I'm there trying to get some rest. My phone is ringing. Eventually, I get sick and tired of it. They started sending me text messages and stuff like that, so I called. They were like, the staff here said that you took the pager system and we just wanted to know if you have it with you and if you can bring it in. And I said to them, it's like, how would I have the pager system if I don't use it? How would I have something that I don't touch?
Why would I just take it?
Why would I just take it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're checking with everybody. Now, I know that's a lie because you're not checking with everybody because everybody says it was me. Yeah. Right? Now, this is creating, and now at this point right now, I'm already, my mind is already time to get the hell out of Dodge because I'm already seeing, if you can start pinning this nonsense on me now, what else can you start shuffling on me later on down the road? So I started looking for another job. When it's time to exit, I couldn't take it anymore. I just exited after me and my wife had a discussion because she was wondering why I was such in a PC mood all the time. When I told her what was going on, she's like, nah, you need to get up. Pack up your stuff and leave. Send them the letter of resignation. I sent them the letter of resignation. Yeah. They have a nerve to tell me, oh, you need to come in so we can have a meeting. I said, you're fired. I said to them, I don't understand what you guys don't get. I told you, I work from 11 to 7. There's a reason why I'm in this spot because I don't want to be bothered after 7 o'clock. Yeah. After 7 a.m., leave me alone. Yeah. Until I said, if you want to interact with me, when I come in at 10:45, you can interact with me then. Other than that, don't bother me. Don't text me. Don't write me. Don't email me because I will never answer anything until I get back here at 11 o'clock at night. They got to the point now they started leaving me tasks. I got to do the laundry at this time, change this person at this time,
like
do
the
this.
CNA task.
CNA task.
But at this point, you're an RN. You just pass your test, and
I'm
LPN.
LPN at this point.
LPN.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at this. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Oh, and I need to sign it at the end to show and check off all the stuff. I say, you know what I did? At the end of the day, when the thing didn't sign it, didn't check it, didn't bother, just left it blank. Yeah. So eventually, the director of nursing came in and says, "Oh, you know what? This is the thing that the what we call him the manager of the building left for you to do." And looking at it, I said, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Oh, so when you finish, you sign it." And what did I do the next time? Left it blank. Yeah. I keep leaving it blank because I'm thinking about this is like I will help out where I can, but this is not my primary job because I have other people who have issues that I got to deal with. I can't be sitting down here doing all of this, doing laundry and doing all the stuff like that at night and then folding laundry and doing this. It's like, listen, if you're worried about me not doing having anything to do, then why are the other nurses leaving a whole list of tasks for me to do? Like, I mean, I come inside there's a laundry list of things for me to do. Yeah. Downstairs and upstairs in the other nurse's office. They left me a whole laundry list of things. Nobody's doing it. They just pan it off to the guy at the night. And then on top of that, I got to do laundry as well, too. Yeah. So I didn't sign any of that stuff. And they hand in the resignation. They'd be like, oh, you're going to come in? I said, I don't want to come in for a meeting. Let's do this over Zoom. It's the only way you can interact with me right now. I'll make some time to do it over Zoom.
Yeah.
So we went over Zoom. They started saying, oh, we didn't understand what you meant in the resignation letter. I'm like, yeah, I was accused of thievery more than once. And this has become a hostile environment. I can't work in a place where the staff is accusing me of stealing.
Stealing papers.
And on top of that, you put me on the aid schedule. So everybody thinks I'm an aide, not a nurse, right? So you basically has diminished my capacity to do anything and be effective in anything because you think, what? Because I showed you guys up once in a while? You know, there's a rule that if a person, like, I'll give you an example. I was doing, training during the day. My mother-in-law had come up from Florida to watch the kids so I can do my month training during the daytime because they didn't want to amend it and do it at night.
Yeah, right.
So she came up, we're in there, and all of a sudden I heard, when they had that code that they need all nurses stat because, an incident happened. So apparently one of the residents fell. She looked like white as a ghost. She fell. She was pale. All this big name nurses standing right there. Are you okay? Are you okay? How are you feeling? So I sent to one of them. I was like, did anybody take her vitals? Did anybody check her blood sugar? Did anybody? This is me. Yeah. Now, mind you, right? I am not the head, the DON. The DON is standing right there asking stupid questions, which to the life of me, I don't understand. She fainted. One of you saw her fall down. Yeah. Instead of yapping in your mouth, do something to find out what's going on with her.
For sure.
Nobody's taking her. So I'm like, I couldn't take this anymore. So I went back to the office. I got the blood pressure monitor, stethoscope. I got the glucometer to do all the stuff. And then all of a sudden, they see me coming all the stuff now. And now, because they know you got to save face at this point, they took it from me. And they started doing the vitals. Blood pressure, 82/47. Woman, bottom out like nothing tomorrow. Yeah. Her blood sugar is really low. So blood sugar is low, blood pressure is low. She looks pale. And she's not doing well. She can't even stand on her own thing. So they finally call the ambulance to come in. The ambulance comes in. Okay, what's her vitals? This was where the joke came in because nobody was taking it, right? And they weren't paying attention to what was going on with the vitals either. So while they were mouthing off and they were going on, I basically just snuck around. Although they took it from me, I snuck around and I took the vitals and took all the stuff and I just fired it off to the EMT. EMS, yeah. And I said, "This is what." I
was gonna say, so after this facility, you quit whatever. Zoom call's done, and then what's the next move?
So I decided I'm gonna back up even before that. So while I was sitting down there waiting, because although I wrote the NCLEX, the process was still taking forever. I wasn't getting any answers. So before that, my wife was like, you know what? Why don't you call the CNO and see what they will say now?
Yeah,
years later.
Yeah.
Would they give you the thing? So I called the CNO. They'd be like, okay, what's your name? Then like, we can't find your file. It's been deactivated.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
They'd be like, so they said to me, it's like, 2017, 2018, we sent you letters to the address we have on file here to say for you to call us because we need you to say whether you're still active with us or not before we pull your name off the active roster and put you in deactive.
Right.
But we never heard no response back from you, and I'm thinking to myself, shit.
And this is on the Canadian side.
Yeah. Yes. I'm like, man, I was already in the United States already at that point.
Right. That wasn't my address.
Yeah. And I didn't bother to, because I have another place where I usually forward all my mail to in Montreal. But I didn't even bother at this point. I just packed up and I'd be like, hell with everything.
Well, not to mention, last time you heard from the CNO, they were just like, yeah, nothing we can do for you type shit.
So I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So they tell me, okay, well, you've been deactive for 8 years now. So they'll be like, well, at that point it was 7 years. They said to me, it's like, well, what you can do is that you'll pay this fee, $340-something, and we'll reactivate your file. And then after we reactivate your file,
you got to pay that 1 year.
Nah, I didn't tell me anything about paying it 1 year. They tell me they're going to just let me know what I need to do in order for us to thing, and that will take a little while. I'm like, okay. I said, it'll take a few days. It might take a week or whatever.
Yeah.
Took 48 hours. I heard back from them within 48 hours. Yeah. Through an email telling me, okay, you need to go on the CNO website, log in, set up all this stuff, and you're going to keep track of everything. There's a tracking system that will keep track of everything that you do. And it will tell you what goals you've met and not met. Lucky enough, I looked on the list. Most of it was met because they asked me prayer questions like, "Have you been working in a nursing capacity
Right.
all this time that you've been out?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've been working as an LPN, RPN Canadian version of it, for almost going on a year now. Well, at the time it wasn't almost a year yet. I said I just finished school for LPN. I already passed the NCLEX for that. I'm going to be starting working soon. So yeah, I have." I've been active. I haven't been literally off the radar this whole time. So they'll be like, okay, well, that will change a few things, right? So then it would change the education requirement because had I not gone back to take the LPN program, I would have had to meet a few courses I would have to take, which were going to take about close to 12 months to 18 months. I would have to take to fill in that gap of the courses that are mandatory that I missed. Yeah. But because I did that in the LPN program, they kind of excused that portion of it.
Beautiful.
Right? So I'm like, okay, that part has been excused. So let's see what else I had to do. Then they said, okay, well, when I spoke to them, they said, I said, what about the NCLEX? They said, okay, we'll approve you to write the NCLEX, but you're going to have to, fill out the application with Pearson VUE, do all that stuff yourself. Right. Now, mind you, I'm just a month, not even like, at this point, I don't even think I wrote the LPN exam at this point yet. I was studying for it, but I just wanted to see where I would head in for that point. So I wrote the LPN exam, and then I went in and I registered. Immediately after I finished the LPN exam, I registered with Pearson VUE to write the RN exam because you can literally write it from anywhere.
Okay.
So I was thinking of a place where I can go write it because, I heard this rumor. There's literally this rumor in the circles that says, if you go to a place where, like a small town, you find like a Pearson VUE in a small out-of-the-place area, the test would likely be easy for you to write. Now, I don't know how true that is because I never think. So the first place I wrote the exam was I wrote it in the south of Connecticut. So I wrote it near my in-laws where they live. So my family came down. My wife came down with me. The kids came down with me. We stayed at a hotel. And then I went to Pearson VUE that morning to write the exam. Now, the problem was, based on my past experience writing this year, I couldn't gauge where I was on this NCLEX because some of the questions they asked, because at this point they changed the format. So now they have the next generation questions where they have what is called a block form. Okay. So basically they will say is like, okay, they will give you a case study and the next 6 questions is based on this one case study.
Yes.
So then,
I've heard about this.
Yeah. So then you will look at it and you'll see so if the lab values change, they will say, okay, based on blah, 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 you have to look in each tab and see what changed. But the good news about the test is that when there's a value that changes, it automatically pops up to that tab in the next question first. So then you can see what lab value changed. They say, based on this, what would you suggest? With the person getting better, they're getting worse? Then they haven't changed, blah, blah, blah. And you look at all the data and then you make a judgment. So they give you that 6-block question like that. Right? The people that I went through the LPN program with, some of them tried to rush it because they said they want to do the old format first because the new format is harder. And that's the rumor they were spreading around. Oh, you want to do it early because if you get the new format is harder. So everybody was thinking the new format. I go to the new format, I'm like, you know what? I actually like the new format better. Yeah. Because it gauges me on what I learned and how I could put it into practice versus just testing me on what I know. And sometimes, you could study for what you know. Yeah. But when it comes to putting it into practice, that's where usually people get tripped up. That's correct. It's putting what you learn into practice.
That's right.
So I did those questions and I left the exam center after about an hour and a half. Now, mind you, I was supposed to be there for 4 hours. Yeah. Okay? My computer just went black after about an hour and a half. Now I got out. I'm on the phone talking to my wife. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm done. She's like, what do you mean you're done? She's like, didn't you just go in there? I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm done. She's like, and what happened? I'm like, well, I'm in the middle. I finished the question. Screen went black and told me thank you. And I'm like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, I don't even know whether I passed or whether I failed. I was like, I'm just scratching my head. I'm like, I don't even know what happened at this point. I'm like, I'm confused because I don't know. The question seems okay. And I was, I remembered a few of the questions and I was going over with her. And she's like, yeah, that you answered the question right. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't, thing. Yeah. So I'm, she's checking she's like constantly going on the state side to check whether or not I got my license and that. I'm trying to put it on my mind.
Yeah, but for the new ones, isn't it like the next day you get your results?
Yeah, they typically tell you within 48 hours, right?
This for the state of Connecticut, no.
Really?
Every state's different.
They somehow they like this little like play with your mind sort of nonsense. It's like you're waiting. So
Mental gymnastics.
Yeah. So we're there now, and my wife calls me out of the blue one day, and she's like, "You pass." I'm like, "Nah, don't be playing around." She's like, "No, I can see it right here. You passed." And she's like, "Go check." So I went and checked, and I said I passed. So with that saying, now we're thinking momentum.
Yeah,
Let's build on top of that and see if we can get the CNO to work on the other side. And the CNO said, "Yeah, you can go write the NCLEX." But there is a catch. Here's where the catch comes in. From the time I register to write, I said I'm going to write the NCLEX, they put me on a clock. I only have 3 months from the time they give me the approval to complete and write the NCLEX.
Okay.
If it goes over that point,
you gotta redo it.
We gotta redo the whole thing all over again. So it's basically I gotta speed up this thing. But here's the good news is that I already studied for the LPN exam. I could just basically build off of what I've already did. So basically, back to the attic I go, locked myself up in that room for a month, and I got up my whiteboard and started going over the process all over again. I picked a place far out in New Hampshire, so I drove the 2.5 hours.
Wait, I don't understand. I thought you just said you wrote it in South Connecticut.
No, the LPN exam.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But now I'm saying is like, let me,
speed rush.
let me go
Get
find
the
some place else.
NCLEX.
Yeah. So now first I picked a place in Connecticut, and I said, hell no, I'm not gonna do it in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Let's try someplace else. And I tried outside of Boston. I'm like, and I saw the one for because I was trying to find a date because I had stuff going on in the family, and every time I look for a date, the facilities change as what's available.
Yeah.
So then I found a place in New Hampshire, and he had the date that I was looking for. So I said, all right, bam, take it. And I just drove up there, stayed at a hotel the night, and I went and I wrote the RN exam.
Yeah.
That was the most uneasiest feeling I've ever felt when writing that thing because
sure.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like at the time when I finished it, I didn't even know whether I passed or not because I was finishing around the same time as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the screen went blank after 80 questions.
75 is the earliest it'll go.
And I'm like, but I've only been here for an hour and change. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, I went and took a break. I stretched my legs. I did all this stuff like that. But the screen went blank. And I didn't even think. But I didn't get no pediatric questions.
Damn.
I didn't get no labor and delivery questions.
Lucky.
I didn't get anything. For some strange reason, they played right into my wheelhouse. Mental health.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this has to be something because you played right into my wheelhouse where I am good with mental, because that's most of my
experience
is from mental health. So I finished the exam and now I'm uncertain.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, I gotta wait, because I had to wait like almost couple of weeks with the state of Connecticut.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to wait a little time for that.
Next day.
Next day I get a message in my email from the CNO, you passed. I'm like, but I did the exam on a weekend.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't do it on a weekday. So usually it will have to be got it the next day. 5 a.m. in the morning. They sent me an email to tell me that I passed.
They work some weird hours in that
NCLEX,
facility.
The RN NCLEX, bro, they have like a program that it has like I know it's like just AI fitted into it. So it's not even though you wrote on the weekend, people aren't there.
Yeah.
But if you pass, it just auto generates your results and emails you and wherever it's supposed to go. Or wherever you told them that you want your results to go.
Yeah. So because even when I went to go write the NCLEX in there, the person who was taking my information to get me into the testing site was confused because is that you're writing it for Canada? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, because there's a whole bunch of people writing other exams, and people who are writing nursing exam are from in the United States, but I was the only one writing it for Canada, which I guess never happens because it was like
in New Hampshire, sure, but in Michigan all the time.
Yeah. New Hampshire, that's like an out of the way thing, and it's like they never heard of someone coming. It's like, you came all the way from down here. I'm like, no, I live here. I'm not coming from anywhere to come write this. I live. Why would I drive all over?
You pass now.
Yeah.
What happens?
So now the process begins now to tell me. So I said to them, what do I have to do now? They said, well, based on all of this, you're going to have to do what is like a refresher program.
Okay.
Which I also had to do, mind you. Even though I passed the NCLEX in the States, this is where the part of the story I didn't even get to. They wouldn't let me practice until I did a refresher course for a month in the United States.
Okay.
And I had to wait because here's the catcher. Like I told you, time has already passed since I got the license. they delayed until it was like September, October. Yeah, September, October, when they told me, yes, you're approved to go ride the refresher program. So mind you, I already lost all of that time frame already. And then going to find out now, I had to go in one day to sit there and listen for 8 hours, them tell me what I need to do in terms of my skills, which was confusing. And then based off of that, they said, okay, you can go do the clinical. Now, mind you, I had to drive an hour from my house back to the south of Connecticut to go do the clinical. And I was only there. I'm thinking they tell me, oh, you're going to be there for a thing. Only there for a couple of weeks. And then be like, you pass. Okay. Then I still had to wait now for the state to give me the go ahead and said, your license is free. You can go. So all of that had to be played out in the back. So when I finally got the whole thing with Canada, I'm like, okay, what is going on right now? So I'm thinking I'm going to go through the same process where I'm going to have to sit down and find every school.
They provide stuff for you.
So they told me, no. Just go online to see on the website. They walked me through the whole where I need to go to find the school. And they said, there's a list of schools right here that offers the program. You just call the one where you want to go and see how it is. I started from the beginning. No, not now. And I said, you know what? I'm tired. I'm not going through this list again. I'm like, you know what? I used to live in Windsor. I know St. Clair College. St. Clair College must offer this program. Yeah. So I just went to the bottom of the list. Saw it. Called them. They're like, yes. I'm like, good. We're done. Yeah. Got all the paperwork filled out. Be done with that. Because I wasn't going to go through this whole... There were so many schools. I'm like... I mean, I could have found one closer to the Niagara region, but I'm like, you know, I know Windsor area.
That's right.
I've been here before.
Well, and then if you need to go see your family, you just hop on a flight in Detroit. Quick, fast, easy, cheap.
Yep.
You know?
Nah, but me, I drive, so.
What?
Oh, no. Yeah, I drove, man. I drove the 10 hours up here. The 10 and a half hours.
A half-hour flight to see your family. You decided to drive 10?
Yeah, I drive 10.
That's wild.
Yeah.
In your Tesla.
I drove it. So the first 7 weeks, I drove with a Tesla. Not a mistake I will make anytime soon again.
Yes.
It's not so much about that. Is that the car is programmed weird. So I would still have, like, say, I would have over 100 miles of travel left, and it would want me to pull over to a supercharger to charge then and there. And I'm telling the car, no, I don't. Right? So I had to literally... On the way up here, when the closer I get to the supercharger, I'm like, end trip. Then put the address back in again. Then it will find me another one. So I can bypass it every single time because it does this thing where it just basically does whatever it tells you wherever it wants to go.
Did it need to charge or no?
Like, for the most part, I could have... The problem with the car is that it's not like, you know, your regular gas car where you can, you know, you say, well, I drive. I know my car can hold out for this long.
700 miles, whatever.
Yeah. Like, the car I'm driving right now, I've only stopped, like, I filled up before I left, and then I drove until I got, I think, like, Rochester, and then I went in to fill up, and even then I stretched it even further and pushed it even further up, and then I filled up there, and then that tank took me all the way to Windsor. Yeah. And I still had over half a tank from the, because when I filled up the second time, the travel distance in miles was over 300. And I still made it to Windsor with half a tank worth of fuel.
Yeah, Rochester's only, what, like 5 hours from here?
Yeah. So when I did it with a Tesla, the first time I did it, because I didn't understand how to work the dynamics of the you know, the thing, because I didn't understand where all the chargers were at this point. So I let it recommend. And it made me make 5 stops on the way here, because what it will do is that it will not charge fully. Yeah. So I was going based off of the recommendation. So what it will do is, like, it will say, okay, charge here for 25 minutes, and then you can make it to the next charging station, then charge here for 15 minutes, and charge to the next station, the next station. So then I got, you know, third time on the trip, I said, you know what? No. Let's do it my way. I will charge the car to 100%. I will drive as far as I can go to and Rochester. See how that goes. Right. So then what I did was, when I found out when I did it my way, I only had to stop and charge 3 times. Versus the 5 times. I mean, it's still a hassle to have to do it, but...
I'll be honest, I'm a gas guy to the day I die. No one can convince me to buy a battery-operated car, I'll be honest with you.
I bought it because, at the time, the gas prices were like, for the cars that we were driving, and the amount of trips, because I'd take the kids back and forth to school, and, you know, all the other stuff, it was at the gas prices, it was like coming to a point that for both cars, it was about over $1,000 a month.
Damn.
Right?
You guys are driving a lot, though. You're driving decent distances.
Yeah, because where we live in Connecticut, everything, like, to take the kids to school is over 20 miles. So that's probably about, like, it's probably about 40, maybe 50 kilometers.
Damn.
It's a distance, right? So it's about half an hour to go in either direction. So that's an hour travel. And I got to do that multiple times a day.
Yeah.
I dropped my at the time, it was just my oldest, I was going to school. So I dropped him off in the morning. Then I drive back home, and drive back, and then drive back.
Right.
You see, it adds,
Absolutely.
It adds up at this point. And then, if I had to run errands and all the stuff like that, everything adds up. So it was basically just killing us in the gas. Gas. So then, we came to the head, and then when they dropped the price and they were giving the tax credits, because we live in the state of we are registered in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
This is where we live. They were giving over $13,000 in tax credits to buy a Tesla. So I'm like, okay. And the price was coming down already. Let's get a Tesla. It's going to be, to help out in the time being. And because, we work in Connecticut and my wife works there, she can charge her car free at work.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So she has a charger that she can use to charge her car
Cool.
while at work. So then we don't have to really pay for any charge. The only time we ever paid for charge was when I was making his road trips.
I got you. So I have a question, just to kind of change gears back. So now St. Clair's going to take you. You're able to take the refresher course. Are you currently doing that now?
Currently doing that right now.
Okay, sorry. So what entails? Like, what is the refresher course exactly?
So what the refresher course is for people who have been out of practice for a long period of time. So you've been out of the clinical setting in any capacity, and all they want to do is basically get you back up to speed.
Okay.
So the first time I was there, what we did was we were literally doing virtual scenarios. So we had two aspects of it. The first one was we're in a lab, and then the teacher would upload these scenarios on, we'll have a case study. A patient comes in with this such and such and such symptoms. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Blah, 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 blah. And then we have the virtual versions where they give you a patient and you're in like this virtual reality.
Yeah.
And you basically have to do things to get the patient better.
Now, is this like a pass-fail thing, or just like it is?
It's a pass-fail thing.
Okay, I see.
So it comes on based on how well you manage each scenario. And you get times to retry the one online. You can redo it again, but you have to pass it. I think you have to pass over 80% or whatever in order for it to count towards a pass, right? And the CNO is looking at this because they want to know whether or not, because they're tuned into this part, they need to know whether or not you've passed over 80% in all these scenarios, right? And they need to have it at a certain time frame before that section of the course is over. When you're in the lab, however, it's a different story. This is where you hone in the skills that you were trying to practice in the first place. So that would be either, giving IV medications, assessing the person, doing whatever you can with asthma, with a GI and all the stuff like that. They went through the whole scenario and then threw in a few complications. That was the first part of that. The second part is that they took you to the skills lab.
Yeah.
So in this part right
physically
now,
at St. Clair, you're in that sim lab. Okay, I know exactly.
So then when you go in there now, you're doing basically IV administration, hanging IVs, doing all the stuff like that. And then when you finish that, you get to that portion and you come to now, which is your independent practice.
Okay.
Now that one has varied because some people in the course that I am, they have to do 600 hours. Some has to do 400. It seems like the CNO gave a different condition for each person.
Right. Well, I'm sure every scenario is different, right?
So for me, they wanted me to write the NCLEX first, and upon passing the NCLEX, then they gave me the go ahead to do the refresher program. The other people in the course, they were told to do the refresher program first and then write the NCLEX,
which makes more sense to me.
Yeah. So I got it in the reverse. So when the teachers were asking,
which actually works to your benefit because you just studied for an NCLEX exam.
It worked to my benefit, yes. Yeah. So when the teacher was asking about the stories and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, so who here has to write the NCLEX? And everybody put their hand up, and I'm just sitting right there. It's like, and she's like, you don't have to write. I'm like, no, I already did that already.
Yeah.
I already wrote the NCLEX already. This was my condition to come in here.
Yeah.
No, didn't pass the NCLEX. No, they weren't going to approve no refresher program. So I had the reverse of what everybody else had.
So once you finish this refresher program, you're an RN again?
Yes. After I write the jurisprudence exam.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
I could do that with my eyes closed.
And that's done online. You can
I could do that. I do that online. So I'm thinking it's like while I'm, when I have some time, I will register for it and just get
it's
it out
easy,
of the
bro.
way.
Could you get it out of the way now?
Yeah, I can get it out of the way
now. That shit out of the way.
So I'll
get
it out of the way as soon as I,
It's just assessing essentially your knowledge with the legalities surrounding healthcare. Is all it is. It's pretty, from what I remember.
I didn't have to write it
why? Oh, because you're in the States, but because the RPNs and the RNs write the same jurisprudence exam.
Yes,
it's not super hard. I mean, obviously, it's still worth like studying to know what is right and not right, but it is not difficult.
I still have the healthcare because when I was at York University, I specifically took a course for healthcare law.
Yeah.
So that way I could understand the dynamics of the law and how things work out for it. I still have the book. So
just use that. So hold on. So how many rotations do you have to do while you're in the refresher? So just one. And where's your rotation?
Right now I'm at Windsor Regional.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, my bad. My bad. What unit are you on?
I'm on the third floor. I'm doing outpatient. No, it's not outpatient. Inpatient pediatrics.
Oh, so you're at Met on the third floor.
So who selects that? Who decides whether or not you do that or something else?
I specifically ask for that.
Just in case for when you want to go to Mass.
Just in case.
Smart.
You're the smartest kid.
Boy.
Just in case.
Yeah, because that's the last thing you needed.
Right. If they, in case that they pull it up, I'm like, hey, listen, I got 400 hours of hands-on pediatrics in here. There's nothing you can say. You asked for 120, I'm giving you 400, which means I'm over experienced for that position.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
So because I just had to cover that because I don't want to have to go back later on and be like, oh well, you know what? Yeah, you did the refresher.
Yeah, absolutely.
No pediatrics.
Yeah.
So I had to cover.
Yeah, but I think things, truthfully, I mean, I know that was 8 years ago you had to deal with this. Things have dramatically changed, I think.
They have.
I mean, hopefully you don't have to go through that again. So you once you finish this refresher course, you write your jurisprudence and pass. What's the plan?
So the plan is, I already discussed it with the CNO. They told me once I'm ready, talk to the Board of Nursing in Connecticut and tell them to send the paperwork to the CNO. The CNO says as soon as they receive the paperwork, they'll release the ability for me to practice in the state. So as far as the go, state of Connecticut will probably be the easiest leverage in for me to start practicing first.
Okay.
Before I go to Mass, because like I said, Mass is a very difficult
So you do want to go back to Mass, though?
Oh man, I'm already packing up my bags to move
like you
back
and
to
your
Mass.
family want to live in Massachusetts?
Oh, we want to go back very, 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 very much so because we can't deal with Connecticut, man.
Really? Why?
One, Connecticut taxes are like ridiculously high.
Yeah.
Two, they don't offer any benefits for the monstrous amount of tax. Like, I'll give you an example.
They don't offer taxes for what?
They don't offer you anything for the taxes they take out of your pocket.
Okay.
Right? And you got to pay. So where we live, we got to pay the city tax.
Yeah.
So I live in the city of Vernon. I got to pay the city tax. The city is part of a county. Also got to pay a county tax for the neighboring cities.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, now I got to pay the state tax.
Makes sense.
Then I got to pay the federal tax. So at this point right here, I'm just basically just giving away money to people in taxes. Everybody's just poking and prodding to pull a dollar out of you. And in Massachusetts, I don't get no benefits for this, mind you. However, in Massachusetts, both my kids are born in Mass. And for ample reason being so. It's like when we were in Massachusetts, even though I was working and I had health insurance, I covered myself and my wife. Because my kids were born in Mass, they automatically qualified for Mass Health, which is considered, they give it to people who they're going through a financial hardship, under a certain amount of money. Because kids don't make any money. That's right. They give it to them as a thing. So you apply for the Mass Health, they give it to them automatically. Right. So when your kid is born, paperwork shows up to apply for Mass Health. Right. When apply for the kids, they needed what is it like? They needed something for some testing, something like that. Just walk to the pharmacy. Covered. It's 100% covered. I didn't have to pay. There's no co-pay. There's no deductibles. There's none of that stuff like that. Just for the kids, it's done.
So you guys don't think you'll ever move back to Canada?
No, we will. The plan is that we'll stretch out. Like right now, we have to finish a few things. Yeah. Clear off a few debts, like my
$40,000 bullshit fucking fake school.
Right. For a school that doesn't exist, I got to pay money. And where's the money going to go? I'm sure it's going to end up in one of their pockets anyway. So they'd be like sitting there like, we got money coming in. Don't worry about the school.
We got $40,000 from this guy.
We got him.
We got him.
He finally made it to the finish line.
And we already be collecting every step of the way. Yeah. So when we're going to clear it that much, and then once we finish clearing out all, because my wife also has her student
MP debt.
Yep. Right. Right now, the place that she's working at, they have a government program where they will cover a certain portion of it, but stipulation is that it's $25,000 for each year. So you have to work a minimum of 3 years to accumulate that. They'll give you all the money up front. Right. They give you all the money up front. The $75K, they give it up your front. but you have to stay with that job for
sure.
3 years.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
In
if
that region,
you want to leave that job, you have to find a job that does the exact same program, so that way you don't lose the benefit. Because the moment time you move out and you don't complete the 3 years, they ask you for all the money back.
All 75K.
And they added on top of that whatever you already have, so they can ruin you financially if they so choose. So the plan is clear as much of that as possible, and then we're looking at next 5 years or so to finally move back, because my wife has reached her limit. She can't take it anymore. Yeah, she's like telling me all the time. She's like, I don't understand. What the hell am I paying all this money for? It's like, I don't see anything. Yeah, like,
why not go back to Florida? Whatever you are working and making, that's what you make.
And face Hurricane Milton?
No, it's not that. It's like,
with no state tax, I'll beat that nigga Milton's ass.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, here's the problem, though. It's like, she used to work in Florida.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. But here's the thing is that what I make as an LPN, my wife wasn't even making anywhere near that as an RN.
Oh, really?
It's true. Florida,
was that then, or is it still the same now?
This is still
I
the
think
same
still
now.
the same.
Really?
Because she has friends who are down there who have left the state and are working like Arizona, who are working in Washington State and other places. They bought houses in Florida, but they don't live in Florida because, like, I'll give you the thing. I thought that was a joke. I thought it was a joke. I thought my wife was trying to be funny, but apparently it wasn't a joke. Her friend, who is an NP, mind you, with a doctorate, wants to work in Florida. They told her $78,000.
What?
And she has her DMP. Wow.
$78,000 per year. That's it. $78,000 per year. This is a joke, right?
I'd vomit, bro. I'd vomit. I'd throw up.
Yep. She doesn't think. So she went to another place. Now I think one of her friends are working like Washington State, making upwards of $200. Yeah. Right? In her own practice, doing her own thing with a doctor overseeing and still making things. But if she moves back to Florida, $78K.
Less than half.
She wouldn't even make, and that's working with a doctor overseeing, and she would not make any money whatsoever.
Shit.
So imagine you do all that schooling.
I'm sick to myself.
And all of a sudden it's like, and that was one of the reasons why my wife decided to stay in Mass, because what happened was that she said, okay, you know what, she's making okay money over there. Let's try some travel a little bit and see how it is different. And when she went there, she realized, wait, they're paying her double, almost triple what she was getting made in Florida in a given day, and she basically, her paycheck was almost triple what she was making down there, and even after you take out rent and whatever, she was still making way more than she was making in Florida. She thought something was wrong, because there's no way you'd be making that little.
Okay, so once you're done, though, the plan is to work in Mass for both of you?
For both. Well,
recoup.
She already got losses. She just got a job in Mass. Okay. So that's stage.
How far was that drive from where you guys live now?
It's not that far. But the thing is that our kids go to school in Massachusetts.
Oh, they do right now?
Yeah, because we needed a different, we took them to a private school, but that turned out to be useless because they were basically ruining all the years that we put into our child of learning and stuff like that. I mean, like when he got there, he was already way past what they're teaching him already, because we gone to the Hooked on Phonics. He was like all the way up there. He could read, he can write, he can do all that stuff like that. Yeah. They basically were just like, he was bored out of his mind. So we brought him to another school, and then we had to supplement with Kumon and all that stuff like to keep him engaged and going, because if not, he basically would just be one of those no child left behind statistics. I think it's nonsense, but there was no, like in my school, like another thing is I was telling people, I was like, I went to, the school I went to, it's sectioned in it. When you get to a certain point, there's two levels of courses. There's a college level and then there's university level courses. The university level courses in my high school, extremely difficult, because he was preparing you for university. And you had the college level courses that it was okay, but it wasn't that difficult. He was preparing you for the college level. Over there, they basically, they have this thing, it's like, we'll try and make sure all the kids all be in the same thing to try and put them out in the same bunch. So they basically, they don't challenge the kids who need to be challenged, and then they basically just dumb everything down for the kids who basically don't want to be pushed. And a lot of that, what I realized is that if it wasn't like, right now my wife is doing all the heavy lifting right now because I'm not there. So she's doing all the teaching, the homework and all the stuff like that. If she wasn't doing that and we didn't put the basis into our oldest at the time, I don't even know what we could say about this point, because at this point he'll probably be getting zeros and everything. Yeah. Because they're not teaching him everything. They're asking him how to write a sentence. They never even started him teaching him how to even build a sentence.
Right.
But he has to learn how to write a sentence. So who's going to be teaching him to write a sentence if, all this other stuff like that is going on?
Yeah.
So it becomes difficult, because now you have to teach and you're paying a school and you're teaching. So I said to her, like, at the end of the year, we should send a bill. Jokingly, I said that, of course, but I said, we send him a bill and says, okay, I taught my son for X and X and X amount of money, hours.
Take 40% off that bill.
I need this much back on my thing. I said it jokingly, but
of course,
in all honesty, I probably would be dead serious. I probably would send him a bill and say, hey, I need money back.
That'd be nice.
Because, you're not teaching him anything. I'm basically, he's in Kumon. We got to pay for Kumon, because you basically started teaching him math, but never built up to anything of math.
Yeah.
Because like the addition, subtraction, they all got tables.
Yeah. All right. So my question is, so once you're done your pediatric hours here, you're done your jurisprudence, you are an RN in Ontario.
In Ontario, yes.
Right. And then you bring that over to Connecticut.
Yes.
Get your RN, work in Mass, hopefully. Yeah. And then do you think you would go back to school?
Yes, I'm actually planning on.
To do what, your NP?
Yes, my NP.
You're a psychopath, bro. You're a glutton for punishment.
That was going to be my question.
Yo, you just are a glutton for punishment, bro.
Might as well.
Like life to just knock you down.
You'll get your NP where specifically?
So right now, I'm going to go to the same school that my wife went to when she did her certification in psychiatry.
Was it in Miami?
Nursing. No.
Before?
It's a school in Philadelphia.
Philly?
Hey,
what's it called? Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. Like Walden, not Walden.
Dayton?
Walden.
I'm at Walden.
No,
no, not Dayton. I can't even remember.
You know what's crazy? The perks of modern technology. You can
is that you check it out?
Phone.
It's an online school as well too that I can
out of
do
Philly.
Everything. Yeah, out of Philly.
It's not Chamberlain.
No, it's let's see.
But while you're looking for that, so yeah, you'll do your NP there.
Yes.
Psych and mental health NP specifically.
Mm-hmm. So you and your wife would do the same thing?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
But I have like right now I'm trying to contemplate whether I want to do the psych NP at this moment.
I see.
But I'm thinking, maybe I'll just do either FM, family nurse practitioner,
right?
Yeah.
or the other one as well too is like, trying to debate whether or not I should just stick to mental health. I mean, it's a big thing now with mental health or whatever, but I don't want to underserve one.
Wilmington.
Or whatever. No.
Damn. Sorry.
No, it starts with I think it's along the line of a W. Oh boy.
Not Wilmington. Wilmington. All good.
Wilkes University. See, I knew it was going to come to me at some point.
And it's online.
It's online.
Yes, you can do it online. And then when you have to do clinical, you'll basically find one in the area where you are.
You got to find it yourself.
You got to find it yourself.
That's how it is with me.
Yeah. You know what, bro? Through this whole story, I felt horrible for you. And then you told me you're going back to school to do more school. I'm like, you know what? He likes this shit.
It's not so much I like the struggle. It's just basically I look at it as, okay, I got hit multiple times with this, and it'd be doing myself a disservice if I just go on and said, you know what, yeah, I got hit hard, forget this, I quit. Because I was at that point. I actually did just say, I'm done with nursing, I quit. Because I can't do this anymore, because how many times are you going to get hit in the face and get knocked down before you realize, maybe this doesn't work.
You know what, though? You got like some Mike Tyson size hits, though, bro. You need to stay down on the mat.
Those are some heavyweight hits you've been taking.
Bro. But that's all right. So, okay. So, potential NP.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's crazy, man.
The original thought process is once we get that, because my wife is looking, because she can't deal with the infrastructure, how things are going right now.
Yeah.
That she's looking to work for a few more years and then be like, okay, time to hit the private practice part, because at least you don't have too much of that issues that she's facing right now, where as the person who's dealing with the patient, you have no voice in whatever you recommendations you make.
Yeah.
They look at it themselves and say, well, whatever you say, it's all right. We'll just do our own thing.
Yeah. That's my last question. Mm-hmm. Knowing what you know now of the whole process that you've been through, if 8 years ago someone was like, this is what you will have to go through to become a nurse, would you do it over again?
Hell no. Man, I would have turned around, ran back, and be like, you know what, the medical school thing, maybe I need to reevaluate the course, because the program I took was the problem.
Yeah.
If I had done better research,
Yeah.
I could have found a better program to get into medical school.
Well, you said you're from Grenada?
Yeah.
Would you ever do Caribbean medical school, you think?
Yeah, there's a medical school right in my backyard down there. Yeah, St. George's Medical School.
Yeah,
one of the top.
Actually, really good. Yeah, it's actually one of the top.
Medical schools
down there.
Yeah. I would contemplate doing it. I
Yeah.
mean, if I went back in that, but the way I'm looking at it is like, to get back to med school, it'd be way too much schooling. I can't bridge that.
4 years.
Yeah, it's 4 years, but
I want to go 2 years, 2 and a bit.
That's what I'm looking at. It's just like I just want to just hit it as low as at the bottom as possible. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I still have to get 2 years of experience as an RN before I can push the NP portion of it. But
Yeah. There's your 4 years right there.
yeah, could have been done in the 4 years right there. We'll see what happened. But had I not basically just jumped into the program without thinking of the other ways I could have done it, yes, that 8 years worth of nonsense would have basically faded out.
Yeah.
But I chose a program, and I'm not even kidding you, on the whole building in McDonald Hall, the McDonald residency, I was the only one taking that program.
Yeah.
I was the only one taking biochemistry, and that should have been my clue. Should have figured something else out. Because the first semester should have been my clue that I should have figured something else out then. Because there was no way you can do cellular biology, chemistry, molecular chemistry, physics, advanced calculus, statistics. And that's the 5 classes you take. And on top of that, you got to do English. And those 6. And then on top of that, chemistry, biology, and physics all have labs that are in itself a full class.
That's right.
And that was what destroyed me.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't, all my time was spent studying.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had, the mind was just basically, you finish studying, you come home at 10 o'clock. I am studying until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, to go crash out, to get up again, to make that morning beeline, to go do all this and do it again, repeat the cycle.
Yeah.
It just kind of drained me out because,
It's
it was
a
horrible.
lot. It's a lot, man.
And that I think they built that course to just destroy your will.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it has destroyed many wills.
Well, I mean, if anyone else had to go through the process you went through, I think it would have destroyed their will, bro. I know would have put a beating on me, bro.
And I'm sure people had the chance to make it this far like you did, but they gave up.
Yeah, man.
So kudos to you.
Yeah, kudos, bro.
Mentally,
for
physically,
real.
Emotionally. I know that can take a lot on a person.
Took a lot.
Yeah.
But you're almost there. You're almost at that finish line.
Damn, good for you, bro.
So we'll wrap it up there, I guess. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment. Scrub Me In podcast on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that. Tell a friend, tell another friend.
Tell a friend. And you know what? For people that have similar, I think, experiences to Rondell, I mean, if you have questions, reach out.
Yeah, reach out.
Just to answer some questions.
Yeah, send us a message. We'll get in contact with him.
Absolutely.
And we'll connect y'all. And if you have something that's similar or, maybe around the same ballpark, let us know as well, too. Share your story with us.
Yeah, man.
That's episode 18.
Let's go.
And, next up is 19.
Peace.
Peace.